realize that we have had few complaints where some widows will say we've been ejected from the barracks even without parallel. So we have little challenges here. But I think the truth is that they've been doing their best. So where we have some of these complaints, we try to also talk with the military authorities to address. But from the little oversight that we've been doing, and I think there's improvement. They are looking at the welfare of the soldiers, and particularly, as I mentioned, about associations. And what we can do, we will also do our best, because people who die, who are ready to die for us, we must also do our best to keep them adequately funded and be able to do, so that they can put more efforts in trying to defend this country.
All right, General Cyprian, again, beyond the rhetorics of the celebrations, yes, and all that you have told us, that it's been done. Yes. Remember, I said it's been done. Yes. And used to be done in hand. Yes. So I'd like for you to give us highlights of what today's celebration will be, in terms of content, of the celebrations. What will be the message, to the families of those, who have fallen, who will be at the parade ground today?
Okay. First of all, we need to know that some 2 months or so behind, the president launched the emblem day, which is the symbol of the celebration. And it's being worn, and this is what it is. It's being worn from 2 months ago up till today. Today is the last day, after which, except if you just want to wear it. So that is very important. Funds are raised. These things are not given free. They are sold to the public. Nobody is given free. So the funds generated are also meant to be given to the families of the fallen heroes through the appropriate association, which I think is the Nigerian Legion. Though we have some other associations, but the recognized one is the Nigerian Legion, which is the one that is actually giving prominence in this anniversary celebration, because it's the main association that the veterans come together, give their expression, give their contribution, and then move ahead. So apart from that one, donations are made during this emblem launching by well-meaning Nigerians to the families of the fallen heroes. And the donation continue from the time the emblem is launched till the last possible day. So all these funds raised are usually channeled to the families of the fallen heroes through the Nigerian Legion. Nigerian Legion is a well-established organization. They have some business concern. They are involved in some business activities. So they have the nominal role of all the fallen heroes, and they have branches in all the states of the federation. So these branches take stock of the fallen heroes, take stock of their problem. They meet regularly. So all these funds that are raised, and from also the funds they raise from what they do in their commercial engagement. Anytime the fallen heroes have some problems as they go on with their lives, the children are assisted, the families are assisted. They also try to help them. Sometimes there are some extracurricular things the family do, especially with regards to the children, which may not necessarily be covered in the arrangement made for the fallen hero as part of their entitlement, because the government pays the school fees up to university level, but they may have some other engagements, which are these funds that is generated is used to assist them through the association.
Let me stick on the emblem.
Yes.
It is routine.
Yes, routine.
It's been routine, and every year. For this year, what is there any value addition in terms of maybe increasing, in terms of the funds? Do we have more funds this year? Have more people patronized? Bought more emblems this year? Do we have any increase?
I think if you realize, the awareness is gaining currency with every passenger. In the past, very, very few people even know what it means not to talk of wearing it. It's become now very important that you see them being sold at the airports, you see them being sold in malls, You see them being sold by these boys standing on where there's traffic hold up. They sell them. So the awareness is gaining currency, and the more the awareness, the more funds that will be generated. And the more funds that are generated, the more funds that will go to the families. So I think what is important now is for the Nigerian Legion to really rise to the occasion and ensure that the funds are properly utilized for the families of the fallen heroes. That way, we have less problem from their side. But like I said, they themselves, they are not sitting on their hours. They are engaging in several things. There are a lot of opportunities for them. If you go to all these services, Wives Association for the Army, Air Force, Navy, the Defense, and Police. So all these provide ample opportunities for the families and the children to go and learn vocation, because this is very, very important for them, since most of them are only used to living in the barracks. Most of them don't engage in the type of government work that ancillary. So even if the person died, you continue. Most of them are engaged in selling, the petty trading, knitting, and then getting involved in some other things. So the vocational center helps them with that one. So the sale of the emblem is very, very important source of fund for them. So the federal government also give large chunk of money as its own donation for the fallen heroes, so that when the celebration is on, the families of the fallen heroes actually look forward to this day, not only to remember their loved ones, but also to look forward to something that will help them to improve their living.
Right. Thank you very much, General Jibril. Let me pose this question to Major Adofiku at our Jos Network Center. Let's attempt to humanize this issue. We talk about fallen heroes. These were persons with life and blood. And for those of us who are in the larger society, what we do get to hear is part of the orientation for military personnel is that be ready to serve your fatherland. And where the circumstances warrant, you're ready to lay down your life. But losing a life isn't easy. And for those who are living, it sometimes could be traumatic, remembering that, say, in warfare, your compatriot or your comrade who is beside you could be struck by a missile, could be struck by a bullet, and the person passes away. So get into the mind of, say, a military officer. What does it mean to lose your colleagues in battle? And thereafter, how does that affect your orientation?
Before I answer that question on what it means to the military officer, losing colleagues in battle, I'd like to make a very quick correction there to the comment by my general there, General Jibril. Since the program began, he's mentioned on 3 instances of large chunks of money being given to dependents of our fallen heroes. I'd like to correct that so that my mother at home will not be at risk. She is a dependent of a fallen hero. This government has gone a long way in doing something to alleviate the suffering of dependents of fallen heroes. But please, let us not call it large chunks so that somebody will not go after them. That is that. And then secondly, I also like to quickly point out that the burden of managing ex-service personnel or veterans is a huge burden that every government anywhere in the world remains very sensitive to, just as we are in Nigeria. The British were very smart. They were very smart. They foresaw it, knowing them for their vision and diplomacy. They saw it coming. And when they were, disengaging from Nigeria, they established the Nigerian Legion via a statutory act of parliament. And that Act of Parliament that we interpret today, Act number 37 of 1988, being modified in the course of the dynamics of life as it is, clearly places the Nigerian Legion as the master manager of the welfare of both living and non-living veterans. And what that translates to mean, if you go and look at the Act, Section 2 of that Act, says so much that the Nigerian Legion looks like another government in existence. Unfortunately, because of our historical antecedent, this has not manifested into practical welfare support as it should be. Much of the burdens we are shifting to government today is actually not government's burden. Is the burden that should have been taken by a very developed Nigerian Legion organization. However, talking about the question you put to me, death is something that the living gets deleted. The dead gets deleted, and so no more reference as far as he's concerned on the other side to us. The living gets emotionally sensitive, and like any other human being, the fact that a colleague drops and dies and cannot talk to you anymore, and cannot work with you anymore, and cannot operate with you anymore, is in itself a demoralizing, emotionally demoralizing phenomenon. However, by the training of the military personnel, you have a firm understanding from the beginning that death is an obvious event that would happen. For that reason, whenever that experience comes through, it does not really shake the prime objective for which you are there. In other words, attaining or obtaining national security. And that is why, like I did mention earlier on, it's a position that is discomforting as it may be, but is accepted by the soldier or the officers and the soldiers. Therefore, the issue of them going to die or not dying, or somebody dying, is neither here nor there for the serving soldier. All he does is he has an objective, he's been trained for that objective, and he works for it. And in concluding this segment, I'd like to say something that we have not done enough in Nigeria. We've not done enough encouragement to our young ones who are there now, our colleagues who are serving now. For example, in November, December, the Kankara episode in Katsina State, where 344 Nigerian students were rescued, I repeat, rescued by the Nigerian armed forces. That is a feat not commonly exhibited anywhere in the world. Rather than congratulate, rather than commend our forces, rather than make our forces feel this is good for us as a nation, we try to deride it. You hear such comments like, oh, they were released. There is a world of difference between released and rescued. Our political class, unfortunately, my honorable member there talked about a political class of, that had a different perception from those of us on the other side. Please, I want to say this for the purpose of this exposition to the nation. There is no you and them arrangement in the political class. I want to emphasize that even what you think is the political class, we have military men in them, retired as the case might be. So we are also part of the political class. And our understanding is that we are glad what the current government is doing to ameliorate the sufferings of dependents and also to morally motivate the troops that are on. That is why the celebration today is a mixed grill. It's a mixed grill of solemnity where we remember those who have fallen a mixed grill of moral motivation. When we see these young ones come to parade to give our fallen colleagues that respect. For those of us who are living, in fact, you've made our day. We feel good. So the Remembrance Day is significant. It's more than just, Again, I want to add here, based on what my general has said there. You see, a country that is statistically shy, some of the things you mentioned there could be very difficult. And like is being currently arranged, there is a deliberate effort, I think, from this year, 2021, to begin to establish a firm, reliable statistical platform. Because without statistics, you cannot translate most of the policy initiatives you've just mentioned of government to those beneficiaries we desire. For example, in a state like Plateau, it's in recent times, with the efforts of the Nigerian, the RANAO and the branch of the Nigerian Legion, they have been able to come up with a local government by local government update of the statistics of widows of our fallen heroes. This is a great move. And we hope that when we come on this screen next year to deliberate on the Remembrance Day, we will be in the position to tell you, today in Nigeria, we have this number of widows, we have this number of widowers. I hope we realize that we're also having women in our combat now, and so on and so forth. And with that, then we can talk about the efficacy of the translation of those policies the General and the Honorable Member had elicited for us. For the living veterans, we are glad at what the government is doing, because anything done to the support of the veterans, living or dead, is a morale booster to those who are in service. In fact, it is the tonic that stimulates, that stirs up the training they have, because they have a memory that is comforting.
All right. Thank you very much, Major Adofiku, for the points that you have raised. And just before my colleague Claire comes on to take the next question, I just would like to point out, for your benefit and indeed for the benefit of some others who might not have witnessed that incident. Upon the rescue of the Kankara school pupils, 344 of them, Good Morning Nigeria, that's the NTA Current Affairs flagship program, had a special edition on Saturday. Now, Good Morning Nigeria runs from Monday to Friday, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. But we had to have a special edition on a Saturday after the Friday news of what happened with the rescue of the pupils. And I think General Jibril was one of our guests, and General Nenche was also here, along with the Minister of Information. And the torrent of tweets we received on that occasion did show the appreciation of Nigerians to the efforts of the military. Claire.
Yes, thank you, Kingsley. Thank you for that. Quite so. And talking about appreciation, I'd like to bring in the Honourable Namdas here now. Again, Major Adofiku talked about the fact that today's celebration is a mixed grill of remembrance, for those who have passed, for the fallen heroes, and of course, celebration of those of the living, as you also rightly acknowledged. Now, beyond the donations, the handouts, and all that given to the families of those who have died, is there any deliberate constitutional arrangement, for some kind of financial, benefits to those families, as a form of motivation?
Well, thank you so much. Let me say that even our national anthem, the 10th line of the national anthem says, "The labor of our heroes past shall never be in vain." It says shall. In law, when you say shall, it becomes very powerful, and it's a must. And I think it is driving from that these arrangements are being made to see that fallen heroes are actually being catered for. And as the Major rightly pointed out, the Act talks about legion to try to take care of the financial abilities of all the fallen heroes. Now that is the area the Act has actually recognized. My only concern is that over the years in this country, because throughout the 36 states of the Federation today, you see governors, political leaders will always be launching this emblem. You find both private individuals and government officials will be making pledges. I have bought this at the rate of 1 million, 2 million. But most of the times, and we should be very careful, I think this is where the things should be serious. Well, we are celebrating a very serious matter. People who have sacrificed their life for us. And you find cases people making pledges and refusing to redeem those pledges. And I think government should not take it lightly. Anybody who make pledges of 10 naira and cannot redeem it, that person should be taken seriously.
Isn't that the reason why? Because that's why I said, beyond all this, isn't that the reason why consideration should be made of finding a constitutional way of,
For us, the parliament, the Act speaks for itself. You see, the Legion manages everything because this is something that deals with fallen heroes. So the Legion have been given the opportunity to do it. But whether these finances are appropriately managed is something that is a different thing altogether. It is not from the National Assembly that you cannot make law and be the one to also execute those laws as supervised. But the thing is that we have had instances where people make pledges and don't redeem them. And this is very, 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 very worrisome. Number two of it is that in some parts of the world, even families of fallen heroes or war veterans, when they go to even supermarkets, there are times that certain things are reduced for them just for the fact that they have actually done certain things. I think that this recognition should be made, or government should say, okay, because of these war veterans who are alive, because not only for the dead, it is for those who are also living and those who are even serving. So in the event that people who are serving or who are veterans and have played their part and are alive, they should be given special concession even when they go to certain to procure things, even in the markets and things like that. But I can tell you that we have issues with that, and I think it is very important that government today look across people who are making donations, and whether these funds are actually getting to the right people. But I can tell you in the military in the army that actually I oversight, we have gone around to see that are these families really benefiting? Are the children being paid their school fees? Are they being ejected or not? Are they still living in the barracks? These are things we have taken care of. And I think we have, to some substantial extent, they are doing their best. But Nigeria is a big country, and you can never stop getting complaints. But I can assure you, the military is doing its best, government, but I think more attention should be paid to the finances of the Legion. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. I wanted to stay with you, but I want to bring in General Jibrin one more time, because we know that he has to also be part of these activities later on this morning. We, on the face of it, and we have seen some improvement. In the past, retired military personnel faced the indignities of sleeping on the streets, on the sidewalks, to collect their pension. I think those spectacles appear to have vanished in recent years. And a couple of years ago, we also heard about the creation of a veteran affairs, whether it's a unit or a
Veteran
department.
Federation.
It's a unit or in the Ministry of, whether it's at a defense headquarters or otherwise, some veterans unit. There was a general who was in charge. These would appear to be steps being taken to cater to the needs of officers who are alive. And we also talked about the welfare issues that are being taken care of. But I just want to also point out something, and I think we've had you on this program where we have also related to this. And in a sense, it also speaks to what Major Adofiku pointed out. In terms of members of the public having fuller and better appreciation of the military, and therefore even after service, and now they are veterans, to say, look, let them have some concessions, such as Honorable Namdas is talking about. There is a critical issue of, apparently, poor military-civil relations. There's also been a new unit created for that. I think General Rogers, Nicholas was in charge of it at some point. What do you think can be done to enhance civil-military relations so that it is not us versus them? It is not military versus so-called bloody civilians. We know that you are there for us and that we should support you in or out of service.
Well, first of all, you are very right. A lot of changes have taken place, especially to make the lives of veterans more comfortable. Because, like I said earlier, the pension has been enhanced to something very reasonable that the veterans can use to take care of most of their requirements. Apart from that, you are also right, it's a Veterans Affairs Department that has been created at DHQ and is headed by a general. So this department is major work from the beginning of the year to the end is to deal with any issue relating to the veterans, dead or alive. So all these things have been made, and apart from that, in all the service headquarters now we have Civil Military Affairs Department. These are branches deliberately created, realizing that there are a lot of gaps in the way the military relate with the public and the public relate with the military. So what is being done here is to ensure that throughout the year they churn out activities which actually let the public know this is what the military is doing, this is what the military is going through, so that gone are those days when all those military things are hidden in secrecy. Now, every now and then you hear General Inenche in the air telling the public exactly what the military is doing at the war front, northeast, northwest, and also all the activities the military is doing is given to the public so that they can know and appreciate and contribute. But now what is important is, it's not a one-way track. While the military is making effort to expose more and more its activities, to invite the public to get involved in activities, that should have been commensurate response from the public, not just from the public, even from government agencies like the Ministry of Information, the other agencies that are dealing with public awareness and orientation. So if we have the two all doing the same thing to ensure that there is a good and symbiotic relationship between the military and the public, is going to help. Now, the military is doing other things very, very important. Anywhere the military is operating, in the northeast, in the northwest, north central, anywhere the military is operating, there is what we call winning the hearts and mind. So the military tries to say, okay, we are not only there to protect you using weapons and laying our lives, we are also there to provide succor for you. The military is involved in road construction, especially if you go to the northeast. There is hardly any contractor that will agree to accept a road construction in certain places. So only the military engineers do go there, and the public that live around them know that one. They also try to sink boreholes, also try to do medical outreach free of charge, so that the communities can benefit from that. They send doctors and nurses to dispensaries and hospitals where normal doctors would not like to go and do that. A lot of schools were restructured and renovated, and then desks and other teaching aids provided for them. The same thing with dispensaries. Even in the area of enhancing living accommodation, the military engineers were involved in their effort to at least show the communities that we are not oppressors. We are not fighting your kids and kin because we don't like them, but because they are killing you, they are making you miserable, they are making it difficult for you to get engaged in your normal economic activities. So all these things are part of what the military is doing to bolster civil-military relation. So like I say, it has to be two ways. You know, in some other countries, you see some well-meaning citizens coming forth to assist their military in their effort to protect the country from the menace they are having. But not much is being had in the country where you have our philanthropies coming. A lot of money was generated by some of our rich people to fight this COVID-19, which is very good as it is. But we expect that in future, similar thing can be advanced to the military. Some of the rich people have supported the police openly. We have seen it. Not much is being had in that kind of support to the military, except state governors who actually are prime beneficiary of some of the activities of the military. They support them with vehicles, communication equipment, and so on and so forth. So we hope to see the rich people in the country. We have many of them. They don't come out. The military also need this support. The government is budgeting a lot to fund the military, but it may not be enough, or there is still room where the public can make their own contribution in so many areas.
How do you deal with the issue of the bloody civilian mentality, particularly amongst the rank and file?
Well, you know, that is just a saying that for me is obnoxious, but actually it's usually in the past, during the period immediately after Civil War. You know, when the soldiers' head was hot, that time also then they are feeling tough. And so that's we hear all these bloody civilian and things like that. But now I'm assuring you, because there is a serious communication and interaction between the serving personnel and the civilian.
All right. Thanks a lot, General. Claire, let me just... I will give you this, but this just an aside.
Yes.
You say after the Civil War. But up to 1988, I'm sure you'll recall, the so-called Mad Dog Syndrome.
Yes.
Involving some personnel and the late Chief M.K. Abiola.
Yes. You know that one, like I said, is an action of one single military senior officer. Maybe somehow he gets annoyed. And you know, some people used to even think that the military receive injection. And that injection, once you start working, you start getting hot. So I think
there was a time we used to believe that what the soldiers used to eat, you know, the food they give to the soldiers, you know, had some form of injection, you know, inside.
Some steroids.
Steroids inside it. But please, just before, Honorable Namda, just before you come in, since we have to let you go, I'm also thinking we must commend the wives, you know, of the officers, POWA, NAOWA, and indeed the Navy Officers Wives Association. They've been doing tremendous, you know, job in assisting, especially the women, wives of the slain. But beyond what the legionnaires expect, the pledges from the governors, and of course from the emblems and all that, don't you think that it will also be, you know, more reliable and realistic to have some form of fund allocated in the budget, you know, for these special people that we're celebrating today?
Yes, I thank God Honorable is with us today, because, you know, this is a matter that the executive and legislature should be able to sort out. But anything voted in support of the fallen heroes,
but it is a
very, very good idea, and so anything done in that direction, I'm sure will be welcomed. You know, mention was made about the management of these resources. The only association we have right now is the Nigerian Legion. So they have that's why it's encouraged that all veterans should participate in the activities of this Nigerian Legion. If we are not happy with it, when they are doing their election, all of us, the veterans, we should try to participate to make sure that we elect only the best executive we think they can do their best. But most people try to fold their arms and stay by the corner and be criticizing the association. But when they are doing their activities, when they are doing their election, we don't go and participate. So those who are available, when they are elected, they have to perform their role. Whether it will serve us right or it will not serve us right is a different thing. But I assure you there is effort now being done to review the whole structure, because I think that at the DHQ level a lot has been done to come up with a bigger and more organized association called the Veteran Federation of Nigeria, which will now absorb the Legion and all the other associations. A draft bill has been already made, and I'm sure necessary steps are being taken to ensure it reach the National Assembly, where it will go through the rituals there. And I'm praying that when it gets there, our Honorable will help us to make sure that it has an easy passage, because that way, once it comes, because the people who are sitting on the fence now feel that if that kind of all-embracing association, they will try to participate. So I really feel that it will be encouraging for government to vote whatever amount is possible in support of them. But we have to have an association that will really manage it very well so that it will reach the intended people.
Indeed. General Ahmed Tijani Jibrin, former Director, Military Intelligence, we really appreciate you. And we just... we'll still keep you, or
yes,
we'll let you go
at
at the
20, I still have 10 minutes.
All right, so we'll keep you for now. So let's take a short break. We'll be right back.
A new edition of TV Guide is out with special focus on the game changer, His Excellency Governor Abdullahi Sule of Nasarawa State. Broadcasting in a digital economy, Maxwell Logo gives an insight. This edition also features Nancy Naji of AIT, a name synonymous with business. Meet the NCDC boss, Dr. Chikwe Ihekweazu. TV Guide, your indispensable companion, also x-rays the relevance of social media in the modern society. Meet some TV professionals who have impacted their spaces and other inspiring stories in sports, entertainment, and lots more. Grab a copy at the vendor near you or NTA stations nationwide. TV Guide, your indispensable companion.
Dialogue, empathy, love, and unity. These are vital components of nation building.
For all to be well, we appeal that we should refrain from volatile, provocative, inciting messages and language.
Let's build and not destroy.
After dropping 2 points from a winning position last week, Wolverhampton Wanderers will be excited to welcome struggling West Bromwich Albion to the Molineux Stadium. Will West Brom prove an easy 3 points? Find out as Wolverhampton Wanderers take on West Bromwich Albion on the Premier League Live, showing on the NTA network from 1 p.m. this Saturday. The Premier League Live is brought to you by Axis Bank, Babai Jebu, Lipton, and Close Up, in association with Gold.com.
All right, you're welcome back, and it's still Good Morning Nigeria, live on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. Let's return to our Jos Network Center. Major Adofiko, of course, you've been listening to the comments and points being made by the other guests with respect to the plethora of issues that have come up in this conversation. Perhaps to give you the opportunity of chipping in as well, particularly this aspect, how to better handle veteran affairs. We know that the Nigerian Legion is there. That's the former legal entity at the moment. But Claire was talking about special funding for veterans to be part of the line budgeting. I want to slightly digress from that and therefore make a suggestion. Earlier, General Jibrin was talking about philanthropies, that's to say charities and corporations assisting the military. I wouldn't expect corporations as part of their CSR or charities to be helping in buying, purchasing armament. But could charities and corporations as part of their CSR not make contributions to funding of veteran affairs through the Nigerian Legion or whatever legal entity might emerge?
For an answer to that, yes, private corporate outfits could and are participating in the support of welfare programs for the veterans in Nigeria. However, the number is not as enough. As of today, I can confidently tell you about 2 organizations that are up front in supporting the veterans. We have one, the NAPAS, that's the National Personal Assets Acquisition Scheme, which is a public-private partnership arrangement supporting economically and socially the welfare activities of veterans. And we also have some other smaller organizations, partnering with the Nigerian Legion in doing this. You see, it's nice we understand one fact here. As of today, there are about 16 different welfare associations, veterans welfare associations in the country, including the Nigerian Legion. Now, these welfare associations, when you look through their mandates, you find that they are actually taking a chip out of the mega responsibilities the Statutory Act or the Act of Parliament had placed on the Nigerian Legion, which tells us that the dynamism of societal development is also imperative in the management of the veterans. Therefore, which goes back to the earlier discussion on public-military relationship, there should be a deliberate effort to encourage, sensitize the Nigerian public outside the military to begin to understand the military as being part of the society. The garrison and barrack arrangement of the military, which is strategic to its survival for the performance of its basic functions, has socially alienated to a large extent our military men. So there is the need for us to begin to take the fight, just as the military is taking the fight from their end, as the general mentioned, to win the hearts of the public. The society should also begin to take the fight from its end. And to this, I want to suggest here that the National Orientation Agency should come up with a program, a definite program of educating, sensitizing, and refocusing the disposition of the average Nigerian towards the military. That would help a lot in that aspect. Coming to the veterans, the management of the veterans setting, like I did say, there are about 16 veterans welfare associations. These 16, except the Nigerian Legion, are private veterans initiatives. They are initiatives by the veterans themselves to take care of themselves. You find some with such names as Veterans Widow Support Group. We find some veterans, the Soldiers Welfare Support Group, and they're all there. And that was why I also want to give credit to the current Chief of Defense Staff when he came up with what our general here alluded to earlier on, the Veterans Federation of Nigeria. The concept of the Veterans Federation of Nigeria is to allow these multitude of associations. You can't stop it because that is globally acceptable. In the United States, you have about 2,360, veterans associations, in addition to the American Legion. In the UK, you have over 150 of such associations, and some of them are even purely civilian arrangements, but in support of the welfare of the veterans. For that reason, they are accepted. We are looking towards a Nigeria where more private, public, individuals and corporate organizations could come in, take a piece of the action. I think one of the things, like I did mention, the National Orientation Agency should help us do, is to help us project more to the Nigerian society. What are the pains, what are the pinches of the veterans, both the living and the dead, their dependencies? What are the aspects? Look, government cannot take all the burden alone. It is not done anywhere. because the burden alone is like managing another nation. So we will therefore plead with the society that please, there are a lot of areas. The general spoke about it, the honorable member hinted on it. People who have served this country and have paid the supreme sacrifice and left behind dependents, those dependents must survive. Those dependents should grow. Those dependents should enjoy the good will of their parents or their family leaders. For those who are alive, it is gratuitous. It is not to the credit of this nation to see a wretched-looking veteran. It's not. For example, if I were haggard-looking and coming to sit on your studio, I would have done more damage to the morale of the nation than any other. So what we are saying is this: the veterans should not be addressed from the disposition of the military. Let it be part of our societal, a major segment of our society that needs to be collectively addressed. Like you did.
Major Adofiku, thank you very much. Earlier, we had indicated that General Jibrin was going to take his leave before the program ends. We just want to give him the opportunity of responding to one last question before he takes up. We're still going to retain you, Major Adofiku, in our Just Network Center. But General Jibrin, this has been a very worrisome issue for us in the country. We know that we have issues with data collection, and so on and so forth. Now, in some other jurisdictions, particularly in advanced jurisdictions, even when their citizens as service personnel have to fight wars half a world away, there is usually data relating to number of service persons, who lost their lives and those who are missing in action. We don't appear to have that in our system. Sometimes there are blunt references. If we were to ask now, we were in Liberia from 1990 for a number of years. We were in Syria alone. How many of our service personnel were deployed to Liberia? How many of them returned alive? So how can we begin to deal with this? And the kind of honor you also see sometimes departed service personnel. We see examples of that from time to time, but it doesn't appear to be widespread. What can and should be done with this, with respect to this?
Okay, I know in the military, all the services, they have automotive data processing center. And these centers are making every effort to ensure that everything is captured. You have mentioned in the earlier about the problem the pensioners were having, dying on the street and so on and so forth. What actually happened was, as a result of the work done to ensure that appropriate data is captured of all the retired personnel. Now I can tell you with confidence that there is no any retired personnel that is not captured by military pension board. The data is captured. Any issue he has, once you go there, they will just type his number and every information about him will come out. So we don't have problem of our ex-servicemen saying that this his name is not there, this entitlement could not be traced. No, the data is there. And these automotive data processing centers are also making effort to ensure that all our engagements in peacekeeping, in other operations within and outside the country, the data is appropriately captured. Because I'm talking about now the serving personnel. But with regards to the activities of the Legion in trying to capture the data of our fallen heroes, their families, and so on, I think the senior major there has mentioned the effort being done in Plateau State. But the same effort is being made in all the states of the Federation to ensure that accurate data is captured for all the fallen heroes and their families. It's an ongoing thing. It's not something that I will say it has been finished, but it's an ongoing thing. And I'm sure in time, all the necessary data will be captured. And I believe also with the coming of the Veteran Federation of Nigeria, which is likely to succeed the Legion will remain, like he rightly said, all the association will remain, but this one is going to be an umbrella body and is going to come with the force of a modern association with all the necessary facilities to ensure that the data of all its members are captured up to ward level. So with this, I believe that we'll have a better regime of data management of living and dead personnel.
I really wanted to react to some few of the things he said earlier, so that before you ask a new question.
Honorable Namdas, you're going to speak now, but let us thank General Ahmed Tijani Jibril, former Director of Military Intelligence, for having been part of our conversation, and indeed for being a regular guest on Good Morning Nigeria. General, we thank you very much and wish you a happy Armed Forces Remembrance Day celebration 2021.
Thank you very much, and happy Armed Forces Remembrance Day 2021 Nigeria. Thank you.
Honorable Namdas.
I wanted to say, in respect to even data, if you go to the military cemetery today, almost all soldiers who have really passed in the front lines, you see the data right even in the military cemetery. They try to capture that, because if there's one institution in Nigeria that is also very, very up to date with data, I think the army is also, the military or the armed forces generally are one of those that have. But the area I wanted to also intervene was the area of funding that you mentioned about the legionnaires in this country. You see, just like the Major said, more attention should be paid to the private sector to try to make provision to assist the fallen heroes in terms of raising funds. As I speak to you, in the National Assembly, we are making arrangements to say that even funding of the armed forces should not even come through normal budgetary procedures. No country will survive real funding of the armed forces just through budgetary allocations. We have gone to second reading to see alternative sources where funding can be made so that our military will be well equipped with modern technology, and that requires funding. So if we have challenges of funding, even to fund the armed forces at its seats, because we feel that there should be a way in private individuals, multinational corporations, we take taxes from other either FRS or whatever. There are ways we have set out that this money should be funded and should be kept so that it can be administered. So you can say that once private individuals are involved, it will help. But to say that again, it should come from government to set aside certain funds for all legionnaires, we should enhance even the pension and make sure that people who have retired get their pension as at when due. If that is done also with the intervention from also private sources, I think it will really assist. And lastly, we should understand that in the National Assembly, we have made a provision that that's what is called the Armed Corps Reserve. That is, people who have retired from the army or who are veterans, who are whatever, in the event that there are shortages of manpower, and as the challenges of insecurity is getting more, we can always get them back to help fight along with the young ones.
These are like reservists.
They are reservists. And now for you to only do that, for these people to leave the reserve to come and fight, that means you must have been taking good care of them.
That's right.
They should be encouraged to say, look, I can put my life again back for this country, because even in retirement, my pension is being paid as at when due. My family has been taking care of my children education. I am doing well, so I can now come back. So I think that is why I said we must pay attention to even people that are retired and even the veterans, because you never can tell when the situation will demand, because in other parts of the world, it has always been done.
Honorable Namdas, you're the chairman of the House Committee on the Army. Recently, a soldier was court-martialed to death by hanging because of some crimes, he committed. Of course, he committed murder. There were also others who, have shown some unprofessional conduct in the course of their duties for one reason or the other, mostly bordering on welfare and all that. In oversighting the needs of these soldiers, also for the wives, of those who have fallen, what are your responsibilities? Because a lot of the women have cried out. Yes, some have, received the dues and entitlements, due to them. Most of the women have not. Most of the widows have not.
Well, in terms of the soldier that was actually court-martialed, I think court-martial is part of the military system. And it's very important that once there is no court-martial and people are not punished for offenses committed, then it is going to be a life that is just anyhow. So people must be actually punished for their actions. And in military, you must respect your superior authority and must take order from the superior commander. So if a soldier chooses to just kill his commander and you allow that to pass, I am not sure you are encouraging discipline and you are encouraging good command from people that are taking place. But I can tell you that the court martial, there is a review. You can also appeal and you can make your reviews. That's a good thing about the military. So, but we encourage that once it is things that are being court-martialed, it's properly done, we have no problem with it. What we don't want is that punishing people unnecessarily.
How do we discourage, such action, even such attitude?
Well,
from ab initio.
You see, the thing is that the only way you can discourage this is that you make sure that, as I said earlier, welfare packages of soldiers are catered for, so that somebody don't get angry that, okay, or fatigue. It's expected that when you post a soldier to a particular place, it is expected that after 2 years or so, you can be able to move him from that place. But there are people who complain that, look, I have been in the Northeast for over 5 years, for 6 years. So if we have that kind of fatigue, of course we have spoken to the authority of the military. They've agreed that, look, they have to be changing this personnel. Yes. So if you do not change them or transfer them out of those fatigue areas, you can see psychologically somebody can wake up one morning and do things that are unnecessarily not good for them, not professional. So we encourage that 2 years you're supposed to, they have the data. Please don't allow a soldier to overstay beyond the normal so that he does not get psychologically affected. After all, in the army too, we still have doctors who take care of the psychological activities of those that are in front lines.
All right, Honorable Namdas, thank you very much. Just to indicate that, Claire, we have a number of tweets. Let's take those tweets, and there's a program announcement that at 9 o'clock we'll be continuing our program, not on Good Morning Nigeria, but this will be on the live coverage of the Armed Forces Remembrance Day celebration at the Eagle Square here in Nigeria's capital territory. But in the meantime, let's take a number of tweets that have come in. Omagbola Babs, if there's anything that elates my mind about this year's Armed Forces Remembrance Day celebration, is the fact that of the recent victories, our combined troops are recording back-to-back against bandits and Boko Haram terrorists. May God continue to grant more outstanding victories.
And Festus Akimboyewa, let's learn to walk up to those who wear the uniforms of our armed forces and say to them kind words like, thank you for your service. Well done. We love you. You are doing a great job. This will remind them always that they are close to our hearts and the heart of our nation.
Now, Badamasi Haruna Adamu tweets, to all our heroes that never came back home, continue to rest in peace. And those still at the battlefield, may the exalted continue to guide, protect, and above all, give you victory.
And Comrade Ngala, our gallant armed forces deserved commendations. They are the best in the whole of Africa.
This is from Yopu Msug. Says the government should do more for the families of our fallen heroes. A lot of them continue to suffer neglect. Happy Armed Forces Remembrance Day and good morning.
Ogbeni Sheyi Flo says today is an awesome day for the armed forces to remember her fallen heroes. One main reflection is that there should be sufficient provision of military ammunition for military in security operations and peacekeeping areas. Some of these fallen heroes might have survived.
Leo Fadaka, while we remember our fallen heroes, we must also appreciate those of them who are alive, both serving and retired. And remembering them, of course, will be through enhanced welfare and prompt payments. A nation cannot thrive without security.
Again, Murtana Farouk, may the souls of the fallen heroes continue to rest in peace. However, it is worrisome to see the retired soldiers protesting and lamenting their unpaid entitlements. This same story about poor entitlement and motivation still plays out among the serving ones in Lower Keda.
Festus Akimboyewa, On this Armed Forces Remembrance Day, let's cultivate the habit of encouraging the men and women serving in our military, especially those serving in remote parts of our country. Writing an encouraging letter or sending provisions to them would go a long way in boosting their morale.
Sir Idris, federal government should please endeavor to settle the entitlement of our veterans and retired soldiers, their unpaid allowances, ranging from minimum wage arrears, security, debt allowances, and God bless the armed forces.
Suleiman Babagana, remembrance of fallen heroes in defending the territorial integrity of our nation needs to be revisited by giving or placing more emphasis on the well-being of their families by the government and support in any kind by citizens due to the sacrifice of the heroes for the rest of us to continue to live in peace.
Okay, Suleiman Babagana, that's the second one from him. But let me take Usman Banukantu. Armed Forces Remembrance Day is an annual event that is observed by all governments at all levels, not just governments, by everyone. Funds are raised with no clear action plan. All we are saying is peace to reign in all parts of the country. May the departed souls of the good ones rest in peace.
All right, those are the twists we can accommodate. In the meantime, let's return to our Jos Network Center to get the closing thoughts of Major Gabriel Adofiku, who is immediate past Secretary General of the Retired Service Personnel Association. Major Adofiku, of course, raised a number of points, and we, of course, appreciate you, but let's just get your closing thoughts on a day like this. Going forward, 2021, what would you like to see for yourself and your fellow veterans, and those who are still in service, by the way?
Thank you very much, Kingsley and Claire. First, permit me to appreciate the NTA for the marvelous job you are doing, portraying us in the light that, in fact, you are doing the converse side of what I was expressing concerning public support. You are doing a lot, and we are glad, we are grateful about that. Quickly, to the honorable member there in charge of Army, I want to appeal that you encourage the executive arm, particularly the Chief of Defense Staff, General Oloni Shakin, to conclude the exercise on the establishment of the Veterans Federation as an umbrella body modulating, and a kind of support body for the multitude of veterans welfare support associations that will be coming on stream. The 16th...
Major Gabriel Adofiku, I'm sorry, we just have to interject there. We have actually run out our time on this program. We'd like to appreciate you for joining us all the way from our Jos studio. Thank you as always, and have a good day. And let us also appreciate the Chairman House Committee on the Army, Honorable Abdul Razak Namdas. Thank you very much for joining us. And let's join now our correspondent, Najatu Tijanu, live. Okay, she'll be joining us much later, but let's join our live studio now for continuation of today's program on Armed Forces Remembrance Day.
Yeah, just to remind you that Good Morning Nigeria returns on Monday, same time, 7 in the morning. Until then, I'm Kingsley Osadolo.
And I'm Claire Adilabu Abdulrazak.
So that we will know the chronology. Mawo is better here. This one is blue. The one that is on me is blue. I can't see what is being written. Can you see? Come and look at it, Oga.
Thank you, the mass band. 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 Thank you, Your Excellencies, Honorable Ministers, Principal Staff Officers from Defense and Services Headquarters, Senior Officers, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. We have arriving in our midst the service chiefs who will be joining us shortly for today's solemn occasion. Indeed, the celebration we are witnessing today is also taking place in the 36 states of the Federation. It is indeed an event that is set aside to honor our distinguished servicemen who have sacrificed their all to ensure that we have peace and unity in our great nation and indeed across the world. Your Excellencies, senior officers, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, this is announcing the arrival of the service chiefs. They have just been received by the Commander Guards Brigade.
Hello, sir. Hello, sir. Sir? Okay, sir. Thank you.
A very good morning to you. Welcome to the special coverage of the commemoration of the Armed Forces Remembrance Day live from Eagle Square. We are also here in the NT studios to monitor and also we'll take impressions about the Nigerian military and, of course, the labor of our heroes past. Of course, January 15 every year is set aside to commemorate the Armed Forces Remembrance Day. The celebration began on the 1st of October with the launching of the Armed Forces emblem and appeal, which had many activities also. These include the special Jumat prayer and an interdenominational service where special supplications were offered for the repose of the souls of the fallen heroes and the quick recovery of the wounded soldiers who are currently receiving treatment for injuries sustained in the course of protecting their fatherland. The 2021 activities are being rounded off today with the laying of the wreath at the tomb of the unknown soldier, President Muhammadu Buhari, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, Senate President Ahmed Lawan, and Speaker of the House of Representatives Femi Gbajabiamila, Chief Justice of Nigeria, and the service chiefs, as well as the Inspector General of Police, and some top government officials are expected to lay their wreaths in a solemn event to climax the celebration this morning. No doubt, the armed forces of Nigeria engaged in a lot of operations across the country for various security challenges. This include kidnapping, banditry, Boko Haram terrorists, cattle rustling, and other serious security breaches in parts of the country. Despite the daunting challenges, the Nigerian military made some landmark achievements in tackling insecurity in the country. Reports indicate that the armed forces of Nigeria from the 8th of March to the 30th of December in 2020 neutralized 2,403 criminal elements, which include terrorists, bandits, kidnappers, and cattle rustlers, amongst others, across the country. This is in addition to scores of other terrorists and armed bandits killed during airstrikes. Aside from these, troops also rescued 864 kidnapped victims across the country. In addition, about 9.7 liters of stolen AGU and about 34 million liters of DPK were recovered. Similarly, hundreds of thousands of barrels of crude oil, millions of liters of PMS were also recovered in the past year. In the course of the operations, about 2,000 criminal elements were arrested and large cache of arms and ammunition and equipment were recovered. So as the armed forces commemorate another Remembrance Day, what lessons should Nigerians learn from the event? What should be done to assist the families of the fallen heroes? And what is the state of the proceeds of the appeal fund being collected for the upkeep of the families of the deceased? What should the corporate organizations, community and individuals do to improve the welfare of veterans and their families? Good morning and welcome to this special broadcast of the Armed Forces Remembrance Day. I am Fisayo Ogunfuye. Thanks for joining us. And also joining us in the studio is Brigadier General Sani Usman Kukasheka, retired MNI. Is a former director of Army Public Relations. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
As to also celebrate with you on this the commemoration of the Armed Forces Remembrance Day, and also congratulate you, of course, on your good service to your fatherland.
Thank you so much.
But put it in context for us. A day like this, what memories does it evoke in you as a soldier?
I think it is a bit emotional in the sense that, or rather mixed feelings. So much as you are grateful to the God Almighty that you are alive, you also think of your fallen colleagues and the families left behind. So basically, it's a kind of a mixture of happiness, pride, and of course sober reflection, in the sense that it could have been you that is being prayed for the repose of your own soul, but God has kept you. Then to what extent again are the families of those left behind are being catered for? So it's a kind of a mixture, but invariably it is a thing of a joy and a pride to see that the Nigerian society appreciate and honor the armed forces of Nigeria.
All right, let's also tell our viewers that as you're seeing us here in the studio discussing about this solemn ceremony and, of course, the ultimate sacrifice paid by Nigerians for the territorial integrity and continued relevance of our nation, we will be joining live the ceremony in the Eagle Square and also be giving you pictures intermittently. Our correspondent Najatu Tijani is right there to fill the pause and give us an ambience of exactly what is happening at the Eagle Square. It's over to you, Niger.
Heralded the arrival of the Chief of Defense Staff, General Abayomi Gabriel Olonishaki. You are welcome, sir. Your Excellencies, members of the Diplomatic Corps, the Chief of Defense Staff, Service Chiefs, and Inspector General of Police, senior officers, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed the celebration of patriots. It is the celebration.
If voice has been drowned by the voice in the background, can we hear Nigeria now?
We are seated here today. We have servicemen who are in the front line in far away northeastern part of Nigeria.
Thank you very much,
part of the
Fisayo.
country,
I was hoping that the announcement would abate so that would just reduce a bit so that I could introduce. But I will just go on. If you're just joining us, you've just missed the general salute heralding the arrival of the service chiefs, the chief of army staff, the chief of naval staff, the Chief of the Air Staff, and the Inspector General of Police, right here at the Remembrance Day Arcade, opposite Eagle Square here in Abuja. If you're just joining us, this is the 2021 Armed Forces Remembrance Day celebration. I want to welcome you. I'm Najatu Tijani, and I'll be giving you a rundown of dignitaries who are already present, as well as those who are being expected. And while we're waiting for this rundown, I want to just give you a brief overview of what is going on right now at the Remembrance Day Arcade. First of all, I'm standing very, very close to monument which represents the unknown soldier. And over the course of the program, you'll get to see boots and helmets signifying the fallen heroes, which is what the Armed Forces Remembrance Day is all about. The Armed Forces Remembrance Day, rather, also remembers those who took part in the First World War, the Second World War, and of course the Civil War. It used to be celebrated in November, but after the victory which Nigerian troops gained on January 15th, it became the day that Nigerians celebrated, became the day that the country decided to celebrate, rather, the Armed Forces Remembrance Day, in keeping with that tradition of remembering those who gave their lives to defend the rights of every Nigerian. And I'll give you an overview of those that are already here. The Minister of Interior, Ogbeni Abdulrauf Aregbesola, is here. And then I can see some members and the chairman, Senate and House committees on the Nigerian Air Force. And of course, just here on my left, we have the Military Widows Association, and we also have the Defense and Police Officers' Wives Association. Of course, these are women who are directly impacted by the absence of their spouses, who are right now, as we speak, on the front lines, defending the country, doing what they know how to do best in defense of Nigeria's territorial integrity. And as I said earlier, I'll be giving you a rundown of dignitaries that we are expecting. But now that the band is playing, I want to use this opportunity to also tell you a bit about the band and also the guard behind me. The parade is made up of 5 guards from the Nigerian Army, the Nigerian Navy, the Nigerian Air Force, and also the Nigerian Legion, made up of veterans, those retired, those ex-servicemen who did their very best to make sure that you and I are standing here today. Now, we are also expecting the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, the President, rather, and Commander-in-Chief. Behind me to my left, we have some of them seated. And then the laying of the wreath is quite symbolic. It is an action which signifies the remembrance of the heroes. And these days, what is also being celebrated is not...
All right, thank you, Najatu Tijani, giving us a rundown of what to expect in a few short moments from the Remembrance Day Arcade, just opposite Eagle Square there, where it's happening live. We're back to the studios there, the Network Service of Nigerian Television Authority, just to perhaps put some of these activities in perspective. Beyond the emblem, beyond the today's, very symbolic ceremony, there's also that very poignant, very important line, labors of our heroes past shall not be in vain, in the national anthem. In terms of labor, this is even the ultimate sacrifice, paid by our fallen heroes. How would you see, in terms of perception of the average Nigerian, to the Nigerian soldier and the sacrifices that he has made over time?
Well, I think... the perception, I would say, is a bit good, but I think there is still room for improvement, in the sense that a lot do not even understand or appreciate the fact or the essence of military service in this country. Of course, the reasons could be attributed to the political history of this country, where the military had incurred, were involved in political governance of the country. But we are in a democratic dispensation for over 20 years now, and I think we should be realistic enough to understand that the military or the armed forces play a very significant role in national defense and security issues, more so in Nigeria, in the sense that as against its primary duties, is now involved in so many internal security operations, which to a large extent has kept Nigeria secure. And of course, if we go back down memory lane, the role the armed forces have played during the First and Second World War. In fact, the Second World War in particular, gave courage and impetus to our nationalists to agitate for independence. And post-independence also, the military were involved in the effort to keep Nigeria united, fighting the 3 months civil war and so many other things. So there is a need for more understanding, support and encouragement to the military, both from the, those who are statutorily taxed or responsible for that, and the average Nigerian citizen.
All right, like some other climes where the society is made in a strategic manner, to also perhaps appreciate these sacrifices by the military. Do you think the Nigerian military should perhaps even do more in engaging in civil relations, and perhaps even like you have in the countries like South Korea, is even taken as study? And sometimes, like we have the NYSC here, you have people understand 1 year compulsorily exactly what it is to defend your country, the service involved, the code of honor and all that, so that it's not a matter of maybe there's is you and us and then there's some kind of bridge in the middle. Do you think there's any way that we can retweak this so that even the society will appreciate better exactly what the military stands for?
Yeah, exactly. Just like I earlier mentioned, there is still room for improvement. And in any case, citing instances, I think Nigeria has, particularly the Nigerian military, has done tremendously well. On their own part, I know since 1999, they embarked on the transformational process, for a 15-year transformation program, which which ended in 2015. And part of it is attitudinal change and all the rest. But I kept on saying that you cannot in any way transform in isolation with the larger Nigerian society. So there is issue of enlightenment and understanding, in the sense that when the military were busy being transformed, the Nigerian society also ought to have been transformed in realities of our democratic dispensation.
And perception change.
Exactly. So there should be more enlightenment to understand, the role the military plays and its significance in national security, and being, of course, the last hope of Nigerian society when it comes to issue of defense and security. Therefore, denigration of it is not the best way. So we should imbibe the culture where respect, support and encouragement for the military is an inbuilt within our cultural system. And other countries have been doing it, and corporate organizations have been doing it. It's beyond, they even go beyond the understanding that they even provide certain things like humanitarian activities, assisting the families of the deceased personnel, apart in addition to what the government is doing and the services are doing. And I could remember a particular airline has a rebate for both serving and retired personnel, and we look forward to more of it, in the sense that corporate organizations will have a special preferences for the military and courtesies and what have you in terms of protocol, because some of us have been privileged to travel out of the country and we have seen how their military is being treated. Of course, naturally people will talk that respect is reciprocal. The military ought to have been doing more, even though they have been doing so much, fighting the insecurity challenges, in the society, and going out of their way to enhance civil-military relations through humanitarian activities, intervening in infrastructural development, education, healthcare, and all the rest. So therefore, there is a need of constructive engagement where the military will be accorded rightful position in the society. And of course, the military they should understand that to whom much is given, much is expected. On my way to the studio this morning, there was something that I had to diffuse, a seemingly misunderstanding between a military vehicle and a commercial vehicle. Actually, I've not been judgmental. The commercial vehicle crossed their path. Everybody is rushing to the senator this morning, and the soldiers were infiltrated, and I made them to understand that all of them are Nigerians. They have to understand that it's just a question of tolerating one another. And of course, it was a win-win situation. And these are the kind of things we like. And there is no system. There is no system or institution that is perfect, and every military has its own shortcomings. And if we can even take an example with the American Army, they suffered defeat at the Vietnam War, and now they came out stronger. And I think they serve as a kind of version of, respect for the military. So, but there was a point in time when the respect for it was at lower, drafting and all the rest was at very, very low. Yes. So we look forward to, yes, Nigeria, the military had been involved in political governance in the past. That was in the past. Now let's look at it critically, the role they are playing in the Nigerian society, and we should improve other things. It's not question of that. We will talk about good governance. We talk of the conflict resolution mechanisms in the sense that complex situations should not be allowed to escalate that warrant, the deployment of the military. There are so many things that the Nigerian society should do to ensure that the military is, engaged fully in its primary responsibilities.
I will still continue in this line, but a lot of people are, of the opinion that even the military itself has not been able to advertise some of his achievements, over time. But we'll come back to that because we have a report on a checklist of the activities of the Nigerian military, some achievements as well. Let's take that report, then we'll come back to the studio.
From highlights of Defense Headquarters coordinated operations in 2020 to projections concerning military operations in 2021, the security checklist proffered by the Presidency on the occasion of Armed Forces Remembrance Day is full of commendation for past victory and expected progress. On internal security, the Presidency says Boko Haram is much weaker today than in 2015, as attested to by the Governor of Borno State, who said, quote, "Today, Bama is coming back to life, and so is Askira Uba, Damboa, Goza, and others. Life is even returning to Baga. This was impossible before Buhari." The armed forces of Nigeria, comprising the Nigerian Army, Nigerian Navy, and Nigerian Air Force, from 18 March to December 2020, neutralized 2,403 criminal elements across the country, in addition to scores of other terrorists and armed bandits killed during airstrikes. Equally, 1,910 criminal elements were arrested, and a large cache of arms, ammunition, and equipment were recovered during the period. The military also carried out several missions and operations in the South-South. More than 8 million liters of stolen AGO automated gas oil and more than 33 million liters of dual-purpose kerosene were impounded by troops of Operation Delta Safe and other Nigerian Navy patrols. Troops immobilized a total of 185 illegal refining sites, 85 dugout pits, and more than 100 metal storage tanks within the period. In the southwest, troops of Operation Awasi impounded a total of more than 10 million liters of premium motor spirit, more than 15,000 barrels of stolen crude oil, and 345,000 liters of stolen automated gas oil. In the northeast, the Air Task Force of Operation Lafia Doli in different airstrikes neutralized notorious Boko Haram terrorist commanders. Meanwhile, since 2015, the Nigerian military has continued to achieve success in the northeast. Specifically, the revitalization of the multinational joint task force comprising Nigeria and her neighbors, relocation of the military command and control center to Maiduguri in June 2015. Since then, several towns and villages have been reclaimed from Boko Haram, and thousands of hostages have been freed from terrorist enclaves. And in the projection for 2021 to 2022, the federal government continues to invest heavily in military hardware, including 23 new aircraft which have already been delivered and inducted into service, while another 18 manned aircraft and 8 unmanned combat aerial vehicles are being awaited. This is in addition to attack boats, patrol vessels, armored tanks, and other platforms. The Army established the special mobile strike teams in the northeast, while the Air Force has established and continues to establish new bases in various parts of the northwest and north central. And with the launch of Exercise Temokoyazu on 2nd January 2021, the Nigerian Air Force conducted a joint combat search and rescue special forces and air police canine simulation exercise at Rijana village along Kaduna-Abuja highway. With these achievements, the presidency says the ground is set for more successes in 2021 and beyond. Naja'atu Tijani, NTA News.
Thank you, Najatu Tijani, for that checklist. I'm still here with Brigadier General Sani Usman Kukasheka, as a former Director of Army Public Relations. She gave a list of just about 4 or 5 years of intensive army operations across the country. That must have been quite grueling for the military in terms of operations almost in every corner of the nation.
Yeah, of course. It comes with a great price. Some personnel were wounded and some have even paid the supreme price. Apart from the fact that the Nigerian soldier rating or airman is always there for the Nigerian citizen, denying himself or has served the comfort or the privileges other citizens enjoy simply because they have decided to serve the nation in the military and for the betterment of the Nigerian society. And so it's not surprising that this much has been accomplished, because it's a result of patriotism, dedication, and the fact that being in the military, you have elected on your own volition to serve the Nigerian society. Therefore, there are no two ways about it that you have to deliver. And given the prevailing circumstances, they have been delivering in the mandates that they have been given. There is hardly any state of the Federation that doesn't have one security challenge or the other that warranted the deployment of the military, and they have been doing marvelously well. But the thing to ponder is that I think we should try as much as possible to ensure that those things that allow conflicts to escalate in this country, to warrant the deployment of the military, should be revisited so that we can be able to have an effective conflict resolution mechanism. We should be proactive in checking some of these problems, to the extent that other security agencies should be alive to their responsibilities, and allow the military to practice or train for the eventuality, which we hope and pray that it will not even come. But of course, it is part of the constitutional responsibility. If you look at Section 218, which gave the president the powers to call in the military in aid of civil authority, and this aid of civil authority, it could be to suppress insurrections and assist in disaster management or emergency situations, which we are being seen, which we are seeing now in the Nigerian society.
All right. Something stayed with me. I covered some activities of Nigerian military in 2016 in Konduga, just outside Maiduguri, and we saw some of them, and there was an opportunity to shake their hands, and one of them was saying, I should shake his hands now because he's not sure he's going to return. And it stayed with me how brave a man can be and say, shake my hand because you might not have this opportunity because I may not return. Somehow we've not been able to capture that aspect, especially for the ones in facing fire at the war front daily, to protect the integrity of the country. It seems to me as if we've not done so much to really let the Nigerian appreciate what a young man like this is facing, simply for you to be able to sleep with your eyes closed. Perhaps we may need to, just like you said earlier about the American Army, every single war it's become a movie for, let's call us civilians to appreciate exactly what the military has been able to achieve. We've done so many in terms of, tours of different parts, especially of the South region, to help those countries stabilize. But we perhaps have not put so many of the achievements in the public space, especially leadership of the ECOMOG and so many other peacekeeping forces across Africa that Nigeria has played a leadership role.
Well, I think that singular incident, possibly, I can't remember precisely, but I think I was there when you went to that Konduga. And that is the kind of thing we want to resonate with every Nigerian. You know, it could be just simple gesture of shaking hand, but it speaks volume. In the sense that, and more so, it is very significant in the sense that, Konduga has been the gateway to Maiduguri, from Sambisa Forest. And I think over time, that town has been, there were more than 20 attempts by the insurgents to attack Konduga. And the soldiers were resilient. And till date, Konduga has not been captured. And of course, the rest is history. Now, life has even gone back to normal. So that singular incident, we wanted to reflect and resonate with every Nigerian so that they will understand what military service is all about, and it is being done on behalf of the Nigerian society. Now, when you look at it from this perspective, you will understand and appreciate that they are performing a very significant role in the, development of this country, which no other segment does that, even though other security agencies and other segments of Nigerian society are contributing the best they could. But there should be harmony of effort and synergy of effort among the components of the Nigerian society. It could be governmental, it could be the corporate organization, it could be, other key institutions, the traditional institutions, and the average Nigerian. And going back to what you were saying about economic, yes, so much has been done. I think we have come a long way in the sense that our foreign policy, is Africa-centric. We have sacrificed so much to bring peace and stability, especially in some countries in the West African sub-region. But there are other components of the government that do not key into the military efforts. Take, for instance, the bulk of the investment, I know in telecommunication and banking in Sierra Leone, in the days of ECOMOG and of course up to early 2000s when we had the peacekeeping, were owned by Nigerians. So what is the relationship between the Ministry of Defense, the Armed Forces, the Ministry for Foreign Affairs, and of course, Ministry of Trade and Investment? Other countries, it comes as a complete package. Bangladesh, Ghana, and all the rest, they even fund their countries through peacekeeping operations because the UN pays for certain services being rendered and the equipment. Take, for instance, an armored personnel carrier, I know, fetch as much as $10,000 per month to a nation. So do we have serviceable equipment when we deploy them? And to what extent there is synchronization of effort between these ministries, departments, and agencies, to the extent that when we restore peace, there should be other commercial and economic interests. Take, for instance, mining rights. And what are those things that are there for the Nigerian, entrepreneurs to take advantage of now that the military has restored law and order in those countries? There is no connection. And that is what we should have. And that is what we should also have locally, a kind of understanding and symbiotic relationship between the military component and the Nigerian society, so that the Nigerian society could be better off for it, that everybody is playing a role in the development of the country.
All right, we'll soon join the National Cade very shortly. But before then, let's take this message, promotional message surrounding the activities of the Armed Forces Remembrance Day.
Should old acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind? Should old acquaintance be forgot and days of old lang syne? For old lang syne, my dear, for old lang syne, we'll take a cup of kindness yet for old lang syne. And here's a hand, my trusty friend, that gives a hand to thine. We'll take a cup of kindness yet for old lang syne. For old lang syne, my dear, for old lang syne. We'll take a cup of kindness yet for old lang syne. Should old acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind? Should old acquaintance be forgot and days of old lang syne?
All right, Auld Lang Syne, composed by the poet and Scottish leader Robert Burns, poignantly captures those faces cut short in their youth, just for you and I to maintain, to enjoy serenity, peace, and unity in Nigeria. I'm still being joined by Brigadier General Sani Usman Kukasheka, MNI, former director, Army Public Relations. You saw those pictures, and I saw you being so emotional, with tears coming down your eyes. It again brings, to sharp focus whatever we're doing for the rest of us. That some other people have faced fire and gone from their families simply to put, ensure the peace, stability, and progress of the nation. I give you a moment.
Yeah, it's okay. Of course, those faces, some of them you can relate with, and some of them died few minutes after you have spoken with them or you have seen them. It is very, very emotional for me personally, and so many other serving personnels. They shouldn't have died. Salisu, salami that we're seeing, they were caught in their crimes, and these are dedicated, responsible family men who laid their lives for the benefit of the Nigerian society, and there is no amount of money or whatever you can do to bring them back. However, we owe it as a point of duty as Nigerians to appreciate the effort and sacrifices of these people and make sure that Nigeria lives in peace, make sure that the families they leave behind are catered for, and make sure that the people coming behind should not suffer this fate which these gentlemen and went through. Now, when you look at it, unfortunately, despite this effort, despite all the sacrifices, by these gallant Nigerians suffering deprivations and all the rest of them, there are still some people that they don't understand, they don't appreciate, and in fact accuse them of things that are unimaginable. And those of us that know them, those of us that are lucky to be alive today, testify to the fact that they don't need anything other than the support of an average Nigerian to succeed. So basically, military service is something that is noble and something that we should encourage people, to participate, because it is something that, that is there that you cannot buy in the open market.
Let me give you just a few moments, even for me to also gather myself. Let's take this one on the special on Armed Forces emblem. We'll be back.
October 1st heralds Independence Day and the commencement of the Armed Forces Remembrance Day emblem appeal launch, when citizens can be seen wearing the emblem for months until the culmination of the Remembrance Day on January 15th. But do they know its origins and understand its significance?
The emblem, as we are made to understand, is all about our fallen heroes. That is those that have died in the course of duty, serving and securing our nation.
You are not wearing one?
I don't have one, but I want to get one now so that at least to show my support for what they have done and what they are doing at the present.
Emblem, I think to raise funds for the fallen heroes.
Emblem signifies the remembrance of the fallen heroes, which is our soldiers that fought to bring unity to this country.
Others are not so knowledgeable about it.
I can actually tell because I see people going around with it, but I don't know what it signifies.
I don't.
Can you at least hazard a guess?
I can't recall.
However, for Musa, a native of Kano State who has been selling the emblem for more than 5 years in Abuja, knowledge and sale of the emblem are more than a means to earning a livelihood.
Emblem.
So, kuma menene mahimmancin emblem din?
To muhimmanci suna tunawa da sojoji na baya da suka mun nan. Na dan uwa soja, wanda ina soja ne, ina army a Kaduna.
What Musa doesn't know, however, is that the tradition of wearing the emblem dates back to 1915, when Canadian poet, soldier and physician Lieutenant Colonel John McCrae penned "In Flanders Field" as a tribute to soldiers who died in the Belgian War and were buried in Flanders Field. This flower bears a striking resemblance to the Nigerian Armed Forces Remembrance Day emblem. However, it is not the flower. It resembles the poppy flower which McCrae based his tribute on, and in soldier folklore, the red color of the flower comes from the blood of soldiers soaking the ground, as the flower is said to have first been noticed around soldiers' graveyards. Since then, the poppy has been adopted as the flower of remembrance for the British and Commonwealth war dead. Naja'atu Tijani, NTA News.
Many thanks, Naja'atu Tijani. On a day like this, we have said a few things concerning Nigerian soldier. Of course, just like you rightly mentioned, it's a celebration which we are adopted from the First and Second World Wars, but we have also had our experiences here. We saw you very emotional because you could identify many of the servicemen who have paid the ultimate price. Some of them worked under you. Have we done enough in terms of their families, so that if somebody is jumping into the front of the fire, the ones coming behind them are also eager to do same, based on what they are seeing in terms of the families those ones have left behind, in terms of the care and consideration society has bestowed upon them?
Well, when you said we, I think you need to be specific or define who the we is. Because any time there are issues like that, there are certain provisions, that are there in the books. Take, for instance, the harmonized terms and conditions of service, entitlements in terms of pay, allowances, remunerations, and in case of unforeseen either injury or the ultimate price being paid, to what extent the family is being catered for, by the military and by the government. If you look at it, you need to examine it whether you can place a price to a human life. Definitely you cannot. And these people that have led their lives, it is not their wish to die, but of course, in the course of duty, they had to die. Many of them left behind children and wives and aged parents and, dependents they depend on. Because I know for sure an average soldier caters so much beyond the nuclear family to the extent of the extended family too. But of course, the military is doing the best it could, because I know, apart from the some of benefits, talk about deaths, burial expenses, the welfare insurance scheme, benevolent fund, and provision for scholarship of the children of the deceased service personnel. I think a lot need to be done to ensure that the families live in peace.
As you are speaking, sir, Brigadier General, sir, we are seeing the leaders of the National Assembly, Speaker Femi Gbajabiamila and Senate President, I guess, also moving towards to pay their respects first before we'll see, the program unfold, eventually the laying of the wreath. We've done this for a while, but in terms of, raising money, especially to this emblem and a few other things. But in terms of the corporate, in terms of the corporate world, when you look at it, it seems as if a lot still needs to be done in terms of our understanding of exactly what the military stands for, and what we should be doing in terms of also, appreciating them, especially those who have either sustained injuries or have left families behind.
Yeah, you are quite right about the fact that a lot needs to be done, not just by the corporate world. In fact, the corporate world has not been doing much, so to speak. The government, for a start, we have to be realistic about the prevailing, economic realities of the time, in terms of welfare of the families of the deceased service personnel. And of course, the corporate world have to key in, to support the government. Just like I earlier mentioned, some of the airlines have gone out of their way, to provide rebates, and hotels and all the rest, discounts for, both serving and retired military personnel. But we need to do more to support them in coming out with, specific intervention. And the government also ought to have a kind of trust fund, to cushion the effect of the bureaucracy involved sometimes in getting this entitlement. Thankfully, everything is being digitalized, but I think we need to do more in terms of cost implications. In terms of the amount being, given to the families, pro rata, which is on pro rata basis, or on the basis of the rank of the person that has, paid the ultimate price. And given the, the prevailing circumstances, much need to be done, actually.
All right, we're seeing activities of the of the Armed Forces Remembrance Day from the National Arcade. Once everything is set there, we will be joining them. Our reporter is also there, Najatu Tijani, who's the correspondent on ground there, to give tell us a bit about, or give us a chronology of what to expect, and then perhaps guide us through that as well. We've spoken about, quite a number of things, but we now go to issues of capacity, and perhaps also the issue of, training. Have we, are we still as strong as we used to be as a reference point on the continent?
Well, if it is in terms of training, I think we are. To a large extent, if you look at it over the years, so much has been invested in the training of personnel, both locally and internationally. Now, training starts from the date of enlistment or recruitment, the basic training for the soldier or the basic training for an officer. Now the NDA is a degree awarding institution, and the quality of training has improved tremendously. But the best welfare you could give to a soldier is training, because if you sweat more during peacetime, you bleed less during war situation. And we have been trained, the military has been training well, but I think there is need for improvement in terms of training, because there are certain facilities that are not readily available. Take for instance, the arms market, the equipment market. Because of concerns for human rights and what have you, Nigeria has been denied certain things that could have moved it forward. And you need some of this platform to train. And of course, the training is also being hampered because of the myriads of security challenges. That you hardly have time for training because you are engaged, in one form of internal security operations or the other. You can look at it all over the country or the six geopolitical regions. There are so many military, exercises and operations going on. We need to free the military to do more training, so that in the case of external threat or aggression, they can be able to decisively deal with it. But I know for sure it is not just the military. We need to also improve the capacity of other security agencies so that they can perform optimally, so that the need for military deployment could be less.
Yes, we've talked about, we're talking about equipment now. Those days we'll hear signals, infantry, armor, and all that. But in terms of peacekeeping and even war these days, technology has taken over a lot of things, and we are seeing drones, we are seeing spy drones, we are seeing satellite imagery. Before anybody is even deployed, they already know exactly where it's going. We are seeing, serious synthetic aperture radar satellites to do some mapping and all that. Even if we don't have direct access to some of these things, are we developing local capacity to a reasonable extent? We know of some of the drones that were, built in Nigeria, in Kaduna there, but are we developing local capacity so that we do not appear helpless at times once some of these things are denied us?
I think the country has been doing tremendously well, and I'm so sure for the services they are doing very well. Take for instance the defense industries corporations has been repositioned, doing so many other things as against, the production of furniture and what have you. Now they are involved in armament productions, and beyond that, I think the services.
Just as Brigadier was talking, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo just arrived the venue of the National Arcade. He will also be paying his respects in a few short moments, and that, of course, is signaling very shortly the arrival of the President as well. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo is his turn now to, pay his respects. He will go and, towards the arcade, and then, of course, we will also be expecting the President very shortly. Let's just take in the activities there and take the ambience as he takes his salute.
Thank you. Shall we please rise? Thank you. You may please be seated.
Vice President Yemi Oshibajo giving his salute there. Very shortly, the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of Nigeria, President Muhammad Buhari, will be here. We'll get there very shortly to also give his salute. And after that, there will be the laying of the wreath, as supplied by the Director, Army Public Relations, former Director, Army Public Relations. Let's quickly join via Zoom just for a few short minutes. The immediate past Secretary General of the Retired Army, Navy and Air Force Officers Association, Development Management and Security Consultant, is Major Gabriel Ifoku.
Good morning and happy celebrations.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
Please, how do you feel on a day like this?
Good morning and happy celebrations.
So, how do you feel on a day like this? Yeah. Can you give us a sense of how you're feeling at the moment?
Well, I feel great. Like I have mentioned on earlier morning ride NTA program, 2021 Armed Forces Remembrance Day is a special one to me. It's a mixed grill of course, we solemnly reflect on our colleagues who have passed on, and then excited as seeing our younger colleagues who come out to appreciate even those who have gone. That boosts our morale, and when our morale is boosted, theirs is multiplied several times. So we're excited. We're glad seeing them.
All right. We will come back to you very shortly. We understand that. We will very shortly. We would get to the arcade ground, but let me let you make your point, Major, before we pause for some moments. Please make your point.
Yes, sir. Just to say that. Yes, my point is the mixed grill. We're excited. It is emotional, solemn that we are reflecting on those who have gone beyond, which is normal for the military. And then for those who are alive, we are excited seeing the young ones coming out to appreciate even this day. So it's a mixed grill. We're excited about it. We're happy at the achievements of our younger colleagues who are there in all the theaters of operations nationwide. We are excited about what they are doing, and with the veterans, we feel good today. We feel satisfied. Yes.
Thank you very much. We'll still get back to you, sir. Major Ifoku was saying something about you.
Adofiku.
Adofiku. Yes. I beg your pardon, sir. Was saying that he's proud of even the ones that have come behind, looking at their exploits and the different areas, how they are performing. Do you still get in touch? Is it, it seems to me as if you have your own code. When you see one another, you understand. We will just look at you, but the signals are going on. So, do you still get in touch? And is there any way for the veterans, for instance, to make inputs?
Certainly there are, and we still get in touch. And the military is more or less like a family. You came into the army when at the very early stage of your life, maybe 18, has been 26 or thereabout, and you spend about 35 years together. Certainly a relationship has been established beyond what you can imagine, sometimes more than blood relations. And especially when you have trained together, or you share experience. Take for instance the trenches during war, which many have fought, and that the next person does not even come from the same village with you, but the truth is that he is ready to take a bullet for you. So it's more or less more than a brother or a sister to you. So you get in touch. And apart from that, there are so many associations and organizations, and the military, as it is, take cognizance of the importance of those of us that have served, and once in a while they get in touch to tap from our wells of experience, and during functions, not necessarily like the Remembrance Days. There are events that the military always invites the retired colleagues to participate? Is it the West African social activities? Is it training or even regimentations at the various levels of the military formations and units? They invite to give papers, presentations about key either national issues or even, the regimentations in the military and operational and administrative issues. So there is a kind of synergy between those serving and those who have disengaged from the service. I remember again the debarment issue and the fact that it is part of the law that once you retire, you form part of the reserve. So you cannot be able to perform properly if you don't keep abreast with what is happening in the military. So there is a kind of relationship between both those serving and those that have retired. And more so, it is a thing of joy, just like he said, to see that what you have been through, other people are eager to, and you try as much as possible to give pieces of advice so that they can even improve on what has been done. And gladly they are doing that.
All right, as soon as the president arrives at Arcade, we will join live and give you, and then, hand over to them so that till the end of the laying of the wreath, and then we'll come back to the studio. Major Gabriel Adofiku is still there in just very quickly. That place, Plateau State generally has been known over time for a place where a lot of people, have that enthusiasm to, join the military. I remember when we had so many generals from Lantan, environment and all that in, Plateau State. Is it still like that in terms of the enthusiasm to be part of the military?
It is like that, my brother. It has not changed. The younger ones are anxious to get on board. The older ones are fading away joyfully and with that feeling of satisfaction. Our very senior, just passed on, General Donkat Bali, and on his obituary, we were not mourning. Rather, we were excited that we saw him at that over 80, moving on to the other side. And so it encourages the others. And a couple of the generals who are around, they are motivative in their presence. Some of them are out of politics completely, and we enjoy the comradeship. General Saini is there. He is still one leg still in politics, and we appreciate him. General Dogunyaro is there, and General Nimiel is there, and quite a number of them. I must tell you that on the plateau, and indeed the rest of Nigeria, we still feel encouraged when we see these veterans around. We are appreciative, we are excited about what is going on. The military, they are doing very well. We understand the circumstances. The dynamics of the times is different from what we experienced years gone by. But we can assure you from what the ex-public relations officer of the Army had said, we are enthused by the proficiency being demonstrated by these younger generations. There is room for improvement, and there is improvement going on. So we are excited, both in equipment, both in their intellectual development. I tell you, the clerk of the military today cannot be compared with the clerk 20 years ago. They are all computer literate, they are all internet compatible, and they are all, up to date. So we are excited. We're seeing them. Don't bother when people say, oh, regimentation has reduced. No, regimentation has not reduced. It's the color of regimentation globally that has changed. It has become technical. And so we are happy the development pace, though we believe and we know that government is on, and we would expect further development from
Thank you so much, Major Gabriel Adofiku. Now we'll join the National Arcade for the ceremony proper.
you, band on parade. Very rhythmic, scintillating. Thank you. Your Excellency, the Vice President, Your Excellencies, the distinguished Senate President, Right Honorable Speaker of the House of Representatives, Lordship, the Chief Justice of the Federation, Honorable members of the National Assembly here present, Secretary to Government of the Federation, Honorable members of the Federal Executive Council, the Chief of Defense Staff, Service Chiefs, Inspector General Police, very senior military officers, both serving and disably retired, Your Royal Highnesses, my Lord spiritual and temporal, distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. The next arrival is the culmination, the zenith of dignitaries' arrival for this very solemn, unique occasion of the 2021 Nigerian Armed Forces Remembrance Day parade holding here at the National Arcade, Abuja. Please, when we announce the arrival of the special guest of honor, the reviewing officer, the Grand Patron of the Nigerian Legion, President Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, please, we are expected to rise in absolute deference to his most exalted offices and his very, very distinguished person. Please, we plead of you, and we have to remain standing until the band renders the national anthem, please. Officers, one officer in uniform should please salute. Thank you. A happy viewing. We can see the scintillating dressed bagpipers. I'm in the limousine. This is announcing the arrival of the special guest of honor, the reviewing officer, Grand Patron of the Nigerian Legion, President Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency Muhammadu Buhari, Grand Commander of the Order of the Federal Republic, just received there by the Commander Guards Brigade. He proceeds to exchange presidential pleasantries with the Vice President, the Senate President, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, His Lordship the Chief Justice, the Honorable Minister of Defense, the Honorable Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, the Chief of Defense Staff, Chief of Army Staff, Chief of the Naval Staff, Chief of Air Staff, and the Inspector General Police. Dignifying ceremony, even the sober, mourning our fallen heroes. Can we all please rise wherever we are seated, please? Plead of you to please rise. Thank you. Thank you. Dignitaries, may please take your seats. Thank you. national salute over, shortly the parade commander, Major Abdul Malik Suleiman, will march towards the saluting days to give the essence of today's ceremony to Mr. President and to very diligently invite him to inspect the officers and guards on parade. We'll see that shortly.
Year 2021, Armed Forces Remembrance Day Parade from the 17th of Stars, 245 members of the Armed Forces and the Nigerian Legion of Parade for inspection. Your Excellency.
We heard loud the parade commander. The special guest of honor, we've been accompanied in this inspection by the Commander Guards Brigade, Brigadier General Mohammed Takuti Usman. Happy viewing, Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is a very solemn parade honoring patriotic Nigerians, loyal to the core, selfless, nationalistic. They answered the clarion call when their services were needed. Today, as it were, in absentially, they are being recognized because a lot of them laid down their lives. The First and Second World Wars, the continental campaigns, sub-regional campaigns, peacekeeping missions, the 30-month civil strife that engulfed our great nation Nigeria between 1967 and 1970, and at the declaration of armistice, cessation of hostilities, there was no victor, no vanquished. Some today of our officers and men are there in the northeast attending to the Boko Haram, the herdsmen, the bandits, insurgency, and kidnappers. We are honoring them today. We have some of them. That's number 5 guard on this parade. There are 5 guards on parade. 1 and 2 provided by the Nigerian Army. 3 and 4 by the Nigerian Navy and the Nigerian Air Force. And number 5 are some of the providentially fortunate ones who saw action at various times, but they are here today in person. There are 4 colors on parade, the national color, and the regimental colors of the Nigerian Army, the Nigerian Navy, and the Nigerian Air Force, respectively. Very solemn, sober. A nation honoring its citizens. And of course, like we said earlier, it is being held simultaneously across the 36 states of the Federation, including this making it 37 of the Federal Capital Territory. Colors, a very essential ingredient in a parade of this magnitude. The parade inspection over by the special guest of honor, the reviewing officer, Grand Commander of the Nigerian Legion, President Commander-in-Chief, His Excellency Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, just got given a presidential permission to the parade commander, Major Abdul Malik Suleiman, to carry on with the rest of the parade. We are now entering the second major segment of this epoch-making but very solemn occasion, that is preparatory to the presidential wreath laying. At this juncture, the microphone swings over to my co-announcer, Captain Innocent Audu. Captain Audu, please.
Thank you, Major Paul Abara. Distinguished guests, senior officers, ladies and gentlemen, at the moment, His Excellency, the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Muhammadu Buhari, is now proceeding to the cenotaph for the commencement of the next phase of today's solemn occasion. It is the celebration of the year 2021 Armed Forces Remembrance Day. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we must once more remind you of the need to adhere strictly to the protocols of the COVID-19 prevention as laid down by NCDC. Next on our program is the last post. As mentioned earlier, the last post is a bugle call used in funeral ceremonies to commemorate those killed in war. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, at this moment, the firing party commander, Sergeant Ofeunji Ebeware, is marching the firing party to the cenotaph, accompanied by the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Federal Republic of Nigeria, and dignitaries that will be laying wreath this morning in honor of our fallen heroes. May I at this point remind our distinguished guests that when the last post is sounded, we are all expected to rise whilst officers and warrant officers in uniform are to salute. Shall we please rise for the last post? Officers and warrant officers in uniform are to please salute.
Thank you. You may please be seated. Your Excellency, the special guest of honor and President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Federal Republic of Nigeria, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Next in our program is prayers for the living and fallen heroes who fought gallantly for global peace and unity of our great nation, Nigeria. May I, at this point, request that we all rise as I invite the Director, Chaplain Services, Roman Catholic, Nigerian Air Force, Group Captain, Reverend Father P.B. Pasol, to commence the prayers for our living and fallen heroes.
Let us pray. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Almighty God, Creator and ruler of all the nations of the earth, we, the people of Nigeria, are gathered on this sacred ground together with our political leaders and foreign friends to offer prayers and deep affection for our fallen heroes of the armed forces who sacrificed their lives for the unity, peace, and progress of our country, Nigeria, and other parts of the world. We pray that you, O Lord, may have mercy upon their souls, forgive their human shortcomings, and receive their souls into paradise. Keep their families in your love and provide for their daily needs. Bless our heroes who are still alive with the various means of sustenance from your bounty. Heal those of them that are sick and strengthen the aged. Protect our troops in the various fields of operation in the fight against insurgency, banditry, kidnappings, and all forms of insecurity and evil on the land. Reward their struggle with great success for us all. Lord God, bless and protect our government and political leaders at all levels. Encourage them always that they may keep faith in delivering services that will impact in the lives of our people. God, our Father, bless our common efforts towards ending the COVID-19 pandemic in Nigeria and the world community. Spare this nation, Nigeria, from chaos, anarchy, and doom. May every day inspire faith and hope in our youth and children. We make this prayer through Jesus Christ, our Lord. Amen.
Next is the Director, Islamic Affairs, Nigerian Army, Brigadier General S.G. Mustafa.
أعوذ بالله السميع العليم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم تبارك الذي بيده الملك وهو على كل شيء قدير الذي خلق الموت والحياة ليبلوكم أيكم أحسن عملا وهو العزيز الغفور منها خلقناكم وفيها نعيدكم ومنها نخرجكم تارة أخرى إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون اللهم اغفر لجميع جنودنا وأبطالنا الذين ضحوا بحياتهم الغالية في الحرب العالمية الأولى والثانية وفي الحروب التي ما زالت القائمة بين القوات المسلحة النيجيرية والإرهابيين في شمال الشرق النيجيري وماتوا دفاعا عن وطن العزيز وحماية للجنس البشري في العالم اللهم اغفر لهم وارحمهم وعافهم وعف عنهم وتجاوز عن سيئاتهم وغسلهم بالماء والثلج والبرد ونقيهم من الذنوب والخطايا كما ينقى الثوب الأبيض من الدنس حتى يكونوا في بطون الأنهار مطمئنين وعند قيام الأشهاد آمنين وإلى أعلى جناتك سابقين اللهم اغفر لهم وارحمهم وعافهم وعف عنهم وأكرم نزلهم ووسع مدخلهم وغسلهم بالماء والثلج والبرد ونقيهم من الذنوب والخطايا كما ينقى الثوب الأبيض من الدنس اللهم أمرتنا بدعائك وعدتنا بإجابتك اللهم إنا دعوناك كما أمرتنا وأجبنا كما وعدتنا إنك لا تخلف الميعاد سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.
Finally is the Director, Chaplain Services, Protestant Nigerian Navy, Navy Captain B.M. Ajayi.
O Lord, our Heavenly Father, we thank Thee for this privilege of life to participate in this year Armed Forces Remembrance Day. O Lord, we pray our gallant patriots who have gone beyond the realms of mortal men find rest in Thee. Grant unto us who are alive grace, courage, and determination to keep the flag of selfless service to our fatherland flying. I pray our families and that of our fallen heroes enjoy comfort, peace, and protection at all times. Through our Lord, as the Son of Righteousness, we ask that You arise in healing the wings upon our nation and heal our land of COVID-19. This and many more we ask, all in Jesus' name.
Thank you for that prayer in honor of our living and fallen heroes. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, in a short while we shall be observing a minute silence in honor of our fallen heroes, which will be followed by gun salute. Once again, we want to remind our distinguished guests not to panic at the sound of firing. It is all part of today's ceremony to celebrate our members of the armed forces who have sacrificed for the cause of peace of our great nation, Nigeria. May I at this point request that we all rise as I invite Navy Captain B.M. Ajayi to conduct this session. Shall we rise, please?
In honor of our fallen heroes who have paid the supreme price, may the souls of our heroes continue to rest in perfect peace.
Thank you. You may please be seated. May I at this point request the Commander Gas Brigade to please invite the special guest of honor, His Excellency the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Federal Republic of Nigeria, for the wreath laying ceremony. The Commander, sir. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, first to lay wreath in honor of our beloved fallen heroes is His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari, Grand Commander of the Order of the Federal Republic. His Excellency the President is laying wreath here at the National Remembrance Arcade to honor the unknown soldier, to honor those who are currently in the front line, to honor those who are taking part in ensuring that peace is maintained across our nation, to honor those who made it possible for us to gather here today. Next to lay wreath is the Vice President, Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency Professor Yemi Osinbajo, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Grand Commander of the Order of the Niger. It is indeed a patriotic event to celebrate and honor patriots of our great nation, Nigeria, those who gave their last breath to ensure that peace is maintained. It is an event to celebrate those who, while we are talking, celebrating here,
are in the trenches, keeping a watch over us. Next is the President of the Senate, distinguished Senator Dr. Ahmed Ibrahim Lawal, and Speaker, House of Representatives, Right Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila. A solemn occasion indeed. Next is the Chief Justice of Nigeria, His Lordship Justice Ibrahim Tanko Mohammed, Commander of the Order of the Federal Republic. Nigeria as a nation cannot forget the sacrifice of the unknown soldier, those who have given their all in service to our great nation, those who heed the clarion call, those who paid the supreme price for the cause of peace and unity of our great nation. It is indeed a celebration to honor our beloved patriots who are also serving. We honor the families of the dearly departed in service to our great nation. Next to lay wreath is the Honorable Minister of Defense, Major General Bashir Salih Magashi, retired, and the Honorable Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Malam Mohammed Musa Bello.
Their turn next are the Chief of Defense Staff, the Service Chiefs, and the Inspector General of Police. The Chief of Defense Staff, General Abayomi Gabriel Olonishaki. The Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tukur Yusuf Buratai. The Chief of the Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Ibokete Ekweibas, the Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal Sadiq Baba Abubakar, and the Inspector General of Police, IGP Mohammed Adamu. Very solemn occasion. Must honor those who voluntarily honored the national call. The action, some were felled, while providentially some survived the various campaigns. They have been honored all over the country. Bringing up the rear in this presidential read lane will be the representative of the Den of the Diplomatic Corps, the national chairman, Nigerian Legion, and the representative of the widows, please. The dean of the diplomatic corps, the chairman, Nigerian Legion, and the widow on parade, please. The dean of the diplomatic corps, African group, His Excellency Ambassador Salahuddin Abbas Ibrahim, is the High Commissioner of the Republic of Nigeria. Of course, the chairman of the Nigerian Legion, Brigadier General Jones Apar, retired, and the representatives of the widows, Mrs. Gloria Naji Umaru. Synoptically, Mrs. Gloria Naji is the widow of late Major S.K. Umar, who served and gave his last breath for the freedom and peace of our nation in the counter-insurgency and terrorism operations in the northeast of Nigeria on 17th December 2015. He served under 143 Ranger Battalion, Badangeli in Adamawa State. Of course, Mrs. Naji Umaru represents all other spouses of the known and unknown, loyal and nationalistic Nigerians. Thank you.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, next is the firing of the 3 volleys. May I once again request that we all rise while officers and warrant officers in uniform are to salute. Also, we want to use this medium to once again remind our distinguished guests not to panic at the sound of firing. Thank you. You may be seated, please. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we just witnessed the firing of the 3 volleys, a ceremony which is performed at military funeral. Next is the reveille. The reveille signifies the last respect in honor of our fallen heroes. Shall we please rise while officers and warrant officers in uniform are to please salute.
Thank you, dignitaries. You may please be seated. Next, our program is the signing of the Armed Forces Remembrance Day Register. May I, at this point, please request that only dignitaries that joined the President and Commander-in-Chief in laying wreath should accompany His Excellency for the signing of the anniversary register. For members of the press, we expect only State House media crew, NTA, and Gas Brigade media crew. For others, please, we'll make the photograph available to you as soon as the event is over. This is to avoid crowd. Of course, we have also craved the indulgence of marking the standing position of our distinguished dignitaries. May I, at this point, request the Commander Gas Brigade to invite His Excellency, the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, for the signing of the anniversary register. The Commander, sir.
Hey, we'll open for you. Somebody will open it.
The Brigade Sergeant Major, Army Warrant Officer Bello Baba, now marches to open the anniversary register for the year 2021 Armed Forces Remembrance Day, which His Excellency the President will be signing shortly. May I once again emphasize that only dignitaries who lay wreath with His Excellency are to accompany him, please.
They'll give you a chance.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the moment His Excellency, the President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Federal Republic of Nigeria, is signing the year 2021 Nigerian Armed Forces Remembrance Day Register. Indeed, it is a celebration of patriots. It is a solemn occasion to recognize the sacrifices of our fallen heroes, and more importantly, to also recognize those who are presently serving, giving their all to ensure that peace is maintained in our great nation, Nigeria. Having signed the anniversary register, the President now proceeds for the release of the pigeons. Major Paul Abara, I'm sure you have something to say concerning this symbolic exercise.
Yeah, thank you, Captain Innocent Audu. Your Excellencies, all protocol very respectfully and duly observed. Birds of pigeon, they are birds of peace. Immaculate, always whitish. You can see they fly high and show that our great nation, Nigeria, is in absolute harmony, unfettered. Peace all over, in spite of insurgency, herdsmen, kidnapping. The nation is closely integrated and living in peace. We will see the birds of pigeon, they fly high soon, signifying, we can see them, there they go. There they go. Put your hands together, if you will, please. Put your hands together. No? There they go.
No, don't release them now.
Anything whitish is signifies peace. Now, His Excellency, the special guest of honor, the reviewing officer, Grand Commander of the Honor, and President Commander-in-Chief now marches to the saluting days for the national salute. Please, once again, when the band and parade renders the national salute, we are please expected to rise, standing wherever we're seated. Officers and warrant officers in uniform should please salute, please. Thank you. we stand, please, wherever we are seated, please? Thank you. Dignitaries may please take your seats. Thank you. The national anthem over, the parade commander, Major Abdul Malik Suleiman, now marches towards the saluting days to seek the presidential permission of Mr. President to march off the colors and the rest of the parade.
March off the colors and the rest of the parade. Your Excellency.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, with that presidential permission granted to the parade commander, Major Abdul Malik Suleiman, we have indeed come to the end of this patriotic ceremony to honor our living and fallen heroes. May I request that we remain seated while the special guest of honor and other dignitaries take their leave. On behalf of the National Planning Committee for the year 2021 Armed Forces Remembrance Day celebration, officers and men of the Nigerian Armed Forces and the Nigerian Legion, we want to thank you for honoring our invitation to be part of today's historic event. Once again, I am Captain Innocent Oche Audu, Assistant Director, Army Public Relations, Guards Brigade. And my colleague has been Major Paul Abara, retired. We wish you journey mercies to your respective destination and hope to see you again next year as we celebrate the year 2022 Armed Forces Remembrance Day in honor of our fallen heroes. Thank you once again, and God bless our nation, Nigeria.
That wraps up. And with the signing of the Armed Forces Remembrance Day Register, that wraps up the celebrations for this year. We want to thank you for joining the Nigerian Television Authority, and we'll be handing back to the studio. I'm Najaa Atutejani.
The team out at the National Arcade, and that procession rounded off activities at the National Arcade commemorating the Armed Forces Remembrance Day. I still have the former former Director, Army Public Relations, Brigadier General Sani Usman Kukasheka, retired MNI, here in the studio. We saw how it was done with precision. But what follows is what is quite important this time, especially in terms of, putting in the front burner the fate of those who have been left behind, and also looking at ourselves as a nation and those who are standing in the line of fire for us to continue enjoying peace and tranquility.
Yeah. Yes, this is the much one could give to our departed colleagues, to pray for the continued repose of their souls. And what follows again is the fact that most of them died in their prime. As such, they left behind, family members, aged parents, spouses and children. To what extent do we care for them so that we give them sense of belonging, and it serves as an inspiration for those coming behind to know that military service indeed is a rewarding thing, in the sense that you sacrifice your life for the benefit of Nigerians, and the Nigerians are quite appreciative. The system and institutions are always there for your family in the times of need. Is it school, is it medication and stuff like that, or even employment opportunities? These are issues that need to be tackled, even though they are being addressed. Expedite action on some of them and also improve on them too.
All right, we're talking about the unknown soldier, but in this little clip, you might want to see the faces of some of them who have paid the ultimate price.
Acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind. Should old acquaintance be forgot and days of old lang syne. For old lang syne, my dear, for old lang syne, we'll take a cup of kindness yet for old lang syne. And here's a hand, my trusty friend, that gives a hand to thine. We'll take a cup of kindness yet for old lang syne. For old lang syne, my dear, for old lang syne, we'll take a cup of kindness yet for old lang syne. Should old acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind? Should old acquaintance be forgot and days of old lang syne?
Old Lang Syne, composed by Robert Burns, of course, iconic song there, of course, of Scottish roots, puts into perspective, because sometimes when you say the unknown soldier, it doesn't particularly resonate, but when you see the faces of those young men who have already paid the supreme price in our fight to maintain the territorial integrity, sovereignty, serenity of the nation, and of course what we're doing now that some of these, confrontations have been brought even closer home by outlaws from within and even across the border, it is even more, necessary to continue to, applaud the efforts of the men and women of the Nigerian military standing in that, because it's no longer a conventional war. You are fighting almost an apparition these days.
Yeah, it's quite true. The prevailing security challenges, challenges that are kind of novel to the Nigerian society. Take, for instance, even though the fight against terrorism and insurgency has been with us for over a decade now, maybe 15 years or 20 years ago, even if you said that Nigeria will be bedeviled with terrorism, you will doubt that assertion. But today it has become reality, and the fact that we have other security challenges, talking about banditry, we started as a kind of farmer hardest clashes. Now it has graduated into something else where villages are being, sacked, and, there is wanton destructions and killing of people, as well as, kidnapping. And the security forces are being drafted into it, particularly the military, to deal with these issues. And they are doing marvelously well so far, and but I think they could have done better if the supporting elements from the parts of the Nigerian society are there. I kept on mentioning the fact that, take for instance the issue of counter-terrorism and counter-insurgency effort. The military component of it is less than maybe 70%. Let's say even 60%. So what happened to the 40%? It belongs to the components that make up the Nigerian society. To what extent are they happy to ensure that, those performing those 60% or 40%, 40% are being supported, to ensure success of, of the whole process. And that is why there is need for synergy of efforts, and to understand that every Nigerian has a role to play in the defense and security issues of this country. An average Nigerian will think, what is my role? Of course, your role is enshrined in the national security strategy. But beyond that, again, you ought to understand that there are a group of people that are performing certain functions. You need to support them maybe with timely and credible information. You need to encourage them. You need to pray for them. That in itself, to a large extent, will motivate them to do more. But then again, there are other institutions that need to, be up and doing to support these efforts to stem the security challenges confronting the country, which the security agencies, particularly the armed forces that we are celebrating today, are doing the best they could.
All right, let's join Major Gabriel Adofiku in Jos at this time. You're still there. I don't know whether it's correct if I get this sequence right. When you see enemy action or something happening, you take cover and return fire. That was what the doctrine was like. But now we have the fight against outlaws that are almost faceless. They are not wearing uniform. They are in society, and you have bandits. You have terrorists or insurgents all over the place. How do we move the battle, take it back to them and, begin to, push them back on the defensive at this time, since, the rules seem to have changed a little in terms of engagement?
Thank you. I'm glad to be back with you from that beautiful celebration out there. The armed forces cannot be exempted from the general global dynamism of society. Things are changing. Behaviors are changing. Activities are changing. So are physical developments changing. The battleground is also changed. And the battle style is also changed. Modern warfare or modern security management is heavily information-based. And because it is heavily information-based, information technology plays a very vital role. And for that reason, there is no way you can run today's battle as per the old design of what we say in Hausa, banga-banga approach to operations, to situations. But what we have now is what technically people refer to as asymmetrical conflict management, or asymmetrical warfare operations. And what that translates to mean is that the enemy is everywhere and every how. That is why, if I could give the public a very simple illustration, even the uniform style of soldiers or of security operatives have changed. Now you put on kneecaps. Now you put on shoulder cover. Now you put on ballistic jackets. And your helmet is even redesigned to now cover not just the head alone as per the Second World War standard, but even your ear. These are signs of the changes in times. And then you go on to know that technology, information management comes to full-scale play in managing current combat situations. Come to talk about our situation where we have multiplicity of conflicts. Is it the herdsmen? Is it the bandits? Is it the kidnappers? Is it, and so many of them that now the military has been drawn full scale into. My only single comment is we need urgently to re-strategize and bring the other services, particularly the police. There is the center rank which everybody seems to be quiet about, the civil defense. They were created to play a role. We would bring them all to bear. Let them come in full scale and establish a common synergy that will help us to reduce the role play of the military while at the same time enhancing the general security of the people. I think that for now is the crisis we face in the country. For example, very simple. Today, many people cry around and say the military is overstretched. Yes, they are overstretched because everybody has gone back and you are left there. But we also know that in the various theaters of operations, we now have the police, we have the civil defense, we have even the immigration are on with us in the Northeast. So what we need to do now is to review our strategy. When people talk about security architecture, what comes to my mind is how do we review, for example, the Remembrance Day program will no longer be a Remembrance Day for just military. It will be Remembrance Day for everybody that is involved. We call them auxiliaries that are involved in the theaters of operations. So for me, I think that there is an urgent need to restructure. But again, let me reemphasize what I have always had. There is no way the military can fight your internal security operations without the support of the public. And the public is the non-military public. You need information, you've got to cooperate with them. You need logistics, you've got to cooperate with them. That way, we can have a headway in our battle. But I can, as I've said earlier, boys out there are doing very well. We are happy. We are excited. We congratulate them. We commend them. We will remind them that we are behind them, both in prayers and resources, physical resources, if need be, to get them to do the job they are doing. Congratulations to Nigeria. Congratulations to the armed forces.
Many thanks for your contribution. We'll let you go now. Major Gabriel Adofiku, retired, immediate past Secretary General, retired Army, Navy, and Air Force Officers Association, and is also a development management and security consultant who joined us via Zoom. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. God bless you all. NTA, keep the flag flying. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So let's return to this studio here. Brigadier General Sani Usman Kukasheka is right here. We are moving, to a situation where we spoke about what our efforts at World War II, that was global, and then in 20 or so years ago, it was a matter of region, sub-region, when we were leading peacekeeping forces across Africa. Now it's right at our doorstep in terms of, trying to contain this outlaws springing up like a hydra-headed monster. The way it is in terms of, just like Major Gabriel Adofiku, mentioned, it has changed a little. in terms of how you go about it. They are like apparitions. The way, it is, you don't even know. Sometimes you might be approaching somebody who is an enemy in this kind of case. What more can be done in terms of maybe intelligence gathering and all that to even further, help them before you deploy?
Well, a lot has to be done, and just like you rightly observed, the dynamism of the security challenges have changed. I mean, ever evolving, and you have to be abreast with this, dynamism, in the sense that the military are responding. If you look at it, between 2009 to date, the modus operandi of the terrorists has kept on evolving, and the military kept on, also meeting up with, take for instance, initially in 2009, when there was uprising, the 3 Armored Division was tasked to deal decisively with the situation, and of course they were immediately crossed, just like what happened to Maitasini and all the rest. But we ought to have followed up with that, and he rightly mentions there are other component in this Nigerian security architecture whose responsibility ought to be recognized and be taxed rightfully so that they can be able to perform. Now, had it been that we followed on that, I believe possibly we wouldn't have had the situation we have now at hand. But the military now had been drafted, and they kept on doing, and surprisingly, some of the issues, people tend to criticize. Take for instance, recently the military decided to evolve with the super camp, which eventually is paying dividends. An introduction of the motorcycle battalion, because they go to remote areas and what have you, because
there are no access
exactly. So they kept on meeting up with the ever-changing tactics of the terrorists. But that notwithstanding, intelligence is very key. Beyond the human intelligence, there is need for the use of technology, because things have changed. Let's, for instance, look at the issue of kidnapping. There is a limit to which the military will do, irrespective of kidnapping incidents. I think we ought to be more proactive in terms of the usage of information and communication technology, because bulk of the ransoms that are being paid, the negotiations take place through the mobile telephone service. To what extent are we monitoring and making sure that criminals do not have a field day using this technology? So apart from that, also the weaponry system has changed over time. The insurgents no longer use personal weapons. They are involved in the usage of general purpose machine gun as well as rocket propelled grenade. And thankfully, the military has upgraded also. They also have an inventory beyond the AK-47 and AK-49 and other things, support weapons and tanks, and of course the air component of it. So, but we need to do more. We need to do more in terms of intelligence. We need to do more in motivating, the troops. It may not necessarily be material. There are issues that could be destructive. Unnecessary denigration of the military is not the best way to go. If there are issues, because like I said earlier, on no system that is, 100%, and I made a reference to not just the American army that suffered defeat during Vietnam. Other armies also suffer similar instances, defeats, but they come up. But they did not come up alone without the support of the citizenry, and that is where it is very critical that we need to galvanize and understand that, look, the security challenges, they are blind to all these extraneous variables of ethno-religious colorations. It is after the Nigerian, the person of, so every Nigerian has a role to play, to see to what extent these security challenges are dealt with.
Especially when you're mentioning all this huge weaponry and all that, I would think about the issue of our border communities and how these things get into the country and get in the hands of these outlaws to the point that we are talking of heavy weaponry that they have also acquired. But before if we're going to delve into that a little bit, let's take this report and update on military operations, then we'll continue from there.
Operations we have. At the weekly briefing, the coordinator of Defense Media Operations, Major General John Enenche, reveals that forces of Operation Lafayette Dole Air Component neutralized many bandits, recovered rusted livestock, while few soldiers sustained injury in an encounter with Boko Haram and ISWAP in Kaurana Moda. A major breakthrough in the onslaught of insurgents in Goneri, Goji and Gujba at Alagama village in Sambisa by Operation Turatake Bangu continued with domination of West Theater of Operation. 30 terrorists were killed in another encounter and several equipment and weapons belonging to Boko Haram terrorists destroyed in Yobe State. In North Central Operation Wild Stroke and Safe Haven neutralized bandits and rescued kidnapped victims in Mararaba Odege in Nasarawa State and apprehended cultists, recovered rustled cattle in Kuru, Plateau State. Operation Delta Save intercepted and arrested 1,184 of 25 bags of Yaroliva Nitraba fertilizer suspected to be smuggled from Cameroon. Security is everybody's business, and the general public is a major focus, very, very important in the architecture of security or securing your area or the whole nation at large. The Nigerian Navy, in collaboration with Forward Operating Base ex-Cravos, conducted anti-crude oil theft operation and discovered 215,000 liters. In Abuja, Abubakar Usman Akwanga, NTA News.
Thank you, Abubakar Usman Akwanga. We've been saying a lot of things since we started. We almost forgot about our waterways. Our coastline, as that is another area that the military has been manning, and how wide it is, especially when you look at the Bight of Benin, and even the economic ramifications of having that place safe and sound.
Yeah, you see, part of the constitutional responsibilities of the military, or rather the armed forces of Nigeria, is the fact that, the defense of the territorial integrity of Nigeria, either by land, air, or sea. So the various components, the Army, the Navy, and Air Force, they are doing the best they could. And in the sense that beyond the Bight of Benin and what have you, the strategic importance of Nigeria as part of the Gulf of Guinea. And given the myriads of security challenges, piracy, and what have you, the Navy has been doing marvelously well. And of course, even the Operation Full Shield there, they have been doing very well. And you look at the number of interceptions of pirates, and rescuing even foreigners that were abducted, and of course illegal refineries, and degrading the environment. They are being tackled, and we need to improve on it in the sense that we should understand that the Navy is doing that on behalf of the Nigerian society, and we should improve again on the welfare of the people, because these security challenges impinge on the welfare of the people, and we can improve on the welfare of the people through support for the the security agencies, and improvement in good governance, and making people to understand that look, whoever is in a position of authority is there in trust on behalf of the Nigerian people. So he or she has no business in tampering with things that are meant for the Nigerian people. Therefore, whatever it is should go down, so that people will have a sense of belonging. They will understand and have this affinity with the government and the security agencies, so that it will be a collective effort. And you can see that there may not necessarily be the end to the security challenges or criminalities, but they will be reduced to the barest minimum.
Before we went for the live telecast itself, we're talking about domestic capacity in terms of science, technology, production of hardware, and all that, for military operations, especially when we have to, perhaps ask for some of these things at the pleasure of our Western friends who might want to cooperate at times, not maybe reluctant at times for one reason or the other. How do we improve in terms of our proficiency in all some of these things? perhaps collaboration and all that, especially when we look at, areas of technology, as you rightly mentioned. For instance, we have a National Space Research and Development Agency, which has a component like a military aspect of it, where we talk of all these UAVs and all that. Is there any way, that we can begin to improve our capacity in assembly, integration, testing and all that domestically before we even ask for help?
Yeah, there are. And beyond even that, I think the military has come up with the Defense Space Agency, and, talented officers and men are being drafted into it, and they are busy researching and collaborating with the other, national bodies to see that how best the military can improve in terms of its performance using the technology. And beyond that, the various training institutions, in fact, there are so many institutions springing up in the military, to deal decisively, to deal with specific issues that are related to military, researches. Take, for instance, the Special Nigerian Army University View and Air Force Institute of Technology and, the Maritime University. So they are busy researching. And thankfully, some time ago, to the credit of the Chief of Army Staff, there was a problem. A young, talented Nigerian, and who was so innovative, creating so many things and all the rest. And he drew his attention to it. I said, look, this could have been, a wonderful person that could help, in your drive for making the army, technology savvy and all the rest. He said, look, we are already working on you. So now the military itself, they are involved in catching them young. How do I mean? People who are specially gifted and talented are being drafted into the military to improve in research and development aspect of it, the R&D, which is the pedestal on which we can improve on performance and efficiency of the military, in terms of weaponry and equipment. So we don't need to rely much on the foreign, partners, so to speak. And I know it is the army that is patronizing one of the indigenous vehicle manufacturing company, the Innocent, and that helped the company to even improve. And there is collaboration, not just necessarily with that company, with other key research institutions in the country to ensure that is done. But beyond that, again, we should improve on the sensitization of our citizens to understand that, look, whatever that happens to its military has impact on the Nigerian society. Take, for instance, there were a series of distractions and allegations, about the military and all the rest, not knowing that this is an institution that has administrative mechanisms. Take, for instance, some of the non-governmental organizations that champion the cause of abuses of human rights and all the rest. I haven't seen any one of them raising any eyebrow or saying things when a soldier was sentenced to death. So these are the things. People ought to understand that the military is doing the best in school. Therefore, you should appreciate that fact and package that, not within even the Nigerian society, and also sell to the international community so that they will understand that, look, so much is being done. Not that every day you keep on condemning the nation. And of course, once you call yourself banana, the monkey will eat you. Basically, that is what is happening. To some extent, so much is being done, but people made it a point of duty to project Nigeria otherwise. And these guys, or rather, the international community paid, base their impression based on what they see.
All right, before we round off now very quickly, are we still enjoying that stature that the Nigerian soldier used to have, especially when you talk of peacekeeping and you see the Nigerian soldiers arrive and they say those are Nigerian soldiers? When you talk of the military setting, do we still have that standing?
Well, are you talking about Nigerian society or the world at large?
No, the world at large.
Well, there is no doubt about the fact that we have one of the best armed forces in the world, because they fought war, they were in peacekeeping operation, and they are still on peacekeeping operation, and they are doing very well. And compared to other armed forces, look at how they are able to contend, the Boko Haram terrorist menace. Take, for instance, in those days, the media were attacked, UN and all the rest. Now they have been consigned to, fringes of Lake Chad region within a period of 10 years compared to the other armed forces that have been battling with insurgency for 40, 50 years, and of course, given their technology and all the rest. So I think the armed forces of Nigeria are one of the best, and we enjoy that prestige, and we want that prestige to be, improved upon, even not just necessarily within the Nigerian society, but among the international community too.
All right, for the past 2.5 hours, we've had the pleasure of the company of Brigadier General Sani Usman Kuka Sheka, retired MNI, former Director, Army Public Relations, and also in the course of the program, we also interacted with Major Gabriel Adofiku, immediate past Secretary General, retired Army, Navy, and Air Force Officers Association. Thank you very much for joining us on this special program, sir. And of course, thank you for being a part of it. Don't forget, you might call him the unknown soldier, but it's somebody's brother, somebody's father, somebody's son standing between you and danger. Keep it up for them. And of course, respect them when you see them. My name is Fisa Ogunfi, thanking you for being a part of this production. Right after now, of course, we'll take that promo concerning the Nigerian Army, and of course, we'll join normal transmission because of the Nigerian Television Authority, Africa's largest and best, where we give you the very best of news, reviews, previews, and interviews. Bye-bye now.
Acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind. Should old acquaintance be forgot and days of old lang syne. Kindness yet for old lang syne. And here's a hand, my trusty friend, that gives a hand to thine. We'll take a cup of kindness yet for old lang syne. For old lang syne, my dear, for old lang syne. We'll take a cup of kindness yet for old lang syne. Should old acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind? Should old acquaintance be forgot and days of old lang syne?